This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, folks. The time being 4:47, I'd like to call this meeting of March 6, 2025 to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know in the past we've always liked to recognize particularly young folks that, young adults that take the initiative. This past vacation, school vacation, we had a young adult, a young man who knocked on the town hall door and asked if he could, was there anything he could do to help the community? So he cleared the snow from the sidewalks and swept the ramp. And during the break from school, his name is Brandon Robbins. So thank you very much for
That's
Brandon.
great.
Yeah, it was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to make a motion to accept 3 donations. I'm going to read them off and then we can have the second. $100 from Marie Barnett. These are all in memory of Judy Suzadelis. $50 from Celeste Couture and $100 from Pat Constantino and Kim Souls.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in, any discussion? All those in favor?
Just, I'd like to say thank you to those people.
Mm-hmm.
And Judy was a heck of a person.
Yeah, absolutely. Very special person. And she was one of the first group to help start the senior center. So in case I didn't mention that before. So it's very special thanks for that. Thank you, Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have the minutes of 2:20.
On the bottom of page 2, last paragraph. Kate Langione is a member of the Tilton Sewer. He is not. He's a member of the planning board, but he's not a Tilton Sewer commissioner.
On the bottom of page 2.
Page 2. You're on February.
I see it. Got it. All right, that's enough. We'll just, anybody else got any corrections? We'll have her correct that. Hearing none, we'll send these back and have them reworked. Okay,
Chairman?
go ahead.
Just as a note, Catherine, you weren't here at the last meeting. We did accept some minutes, but we mentioned that you could go back over them and bring them,
Oh, that was nice.
we can bring them back to the table. So
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And we did try to put you in for speaking on all the warrants, but they wouldn't have anything to do with it.
we were
I don't think you would have liked that.
I don't know. It'd have been entertaining.
Yeah, well,
It
you
would have been
well, you were
entertaining.
away.
It would have been very entertaining, at least.
You know how I feel about something.
Okay, so at this time, I know it's a few minutes early. Is everybody here, right? That's coming from DOT? Or at least online? We have 2 people from online. Okay,
We are waiting, Madam Chair, for the Deputy Commissioner. I believe he was coming. So,
okay.
yeah.
So, all right, we'll wait a few minutes then on that.
I had, Madam Chair, started some signatures going around. If we might be able to at least get those documents done, I'll come up and pick them up.
And then we have some abatements going around, everybody.
Right
Make
here.
sure
I think they
they're
have
signed.
all the proper signatures, I think.
The right signatures.
The bottom one, Scott, I didn't sign.
You did not, okay. This is 10 of them.
Yeah, I didn't sign.
That's the abatement. Pre-approved abatement, all right.
Granted.
Granted, excuse me.
Okay. And this is all that pile right there, right?
Correct.
Right, that tells you
This
the
is-
criteria, right?
I have a question on this Eversource document. It
It's,
says, will timber mounts be used in tidal marsh? No. Used in an area other than a tidal marsh if they are not necessary to conduct activity. They are necessary. Not removed as soon as work is completed or in place longer than one growing season. It was my understanding that they were going to put in
mhm,
timber things, but they were leaving them there and not removing them.
correct.
Well, that's not what this says. And did we ask them to relocate Wolf Road?
Madam Chair, I did get an email from Eversource, Mary Kate Daly, who we had asked them in a meeting to relocate the gate. And she did send me back an email. This week they were having a meeting on, and I was going to bring it up in my remarks regarding whether or not they had to relocate the gate or could leave it the same, in the same spot, and how the board felt about that, only because relocating it will be a inconvenience to the abutting property owner. If you remember, those folks met us here.
Yeah.
So
So.
But I thought we
Eric-
also had a conversation about
Yep.
the boundaries.
Yep.
and-
So I did go out there. I did talk with Mr. Wolf about that. So that the gate there would be fine. The issue is putting that boulder that has the mark. So I'm hoping that the compromise will be putting a pin in the ground where that
A
boulder
boulder
would
is.
go, right? The issue with that, though, is now you would need to change
the
the
gate.
tax map.
Oh,
So you'd have to,
Yeah,
the
no,
deed,
yeah, it would have to
you'd
be
have to
recorded.
change, right? So you'd have to do an amendment to that. But that was kind of where we were at last, Catherine. I was waiting to see if what Eversource said about that. But as long as we have a marker, I would like to see the boulder there. But if you do that, you're going to shift. You can't go any more to the right, and you certainly can't go to the left.
It would be a disservice to the resident that lives right across.
But we should put the boundary marker in the
Right.
correct position.
Exactly.
I'm not concerned about moving the road. I just couldn't remember if we
Right.
Yeah.
asked them to. But they definitely said that they were going to put, I thought, timbers in and then leave them there. They weren't taking them out. That would be contrary to
Right
what that
before the
document
meeting.
timber
says.
mat.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
that's
got
contrary
it.
to what
And
that
the other,
says.
and there was a pipe, a culvert pipe
Yes.
that we needed them to remove because that had been there.
Right.
So, yeah. So I guess right now we're just waiting on to see if they are willing to do that. We know where it is, and then if they'll drive a pin.
Well,
the
somebody
ground
should
there.
look over that, make sure that I'm right, and maybe call them up
Yeah,
and
I'll-
say, what
I'll-
the heck?
On
I'll read it.
the Eversource.
On the
document.
Eversource, the
on
mat.
the mat, I have the whole plan in the office. I can take a look at it.
Well, when they came before the planning board, I'm pretty sure that's what they
They,
said.
they
They would leave
did
it
say
there.
that. I do remember that.
And when they came before us, they said they would leave it there, but that's not what that
That's
says.
correct. I agree with you.
I'd like them to take it out.
Yeah.
Typically, they've always done that.
Okay. Before we start, I'm going to switch my hat here because I do wear two. I know we're talking about Route 3, and I did prepare, if you, within the last 6 to 8 months and future projects for Route 3 on a list here. I did pass them out to our DOT friends that are here tonight. And Scott, you want to pass them out to the select board? And it's an eye opener for traffic. Oh, no, I didn't keep myself one. Thank you. We do have DOT here tonight to talk about the Route 3 corridor. Members present are Jason Ayotte, the district engineer, Dana Lacasse, the assistant district engineer, Nancy Spalding, the District 3 engineer, and is David Rodriguez, okay, David, our deputy commissioner. And I believe on Zoom, let me know if you're here or not, Shauna Saunders, executive director Lakes. No.
I don't see Shauna, but
And Glenn, and I'm not going to pronounce this, Trefethen.
That was very close. Yeah, Glenn Trefethen, Lakes Region Planning Commission, Transportation Planner.
Great. Okay, nice to see you, Glenn. Okay, so unfortunately, you can't see what I passed out, but we can go over it if you have any questions. So we blocked out a good portion of time so the public can raise their hands. And I know we've got a lot of people that are online listening to this, so you'll have to raise your hands online as well, and we'll try to accommodate any questions. But Jason does have a presentation at first, so we'll listen to that, and then he'll open it for questions.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair and Board, for inviting us. I want to thank Mr. Hillard for reaching out and engaging. I think initially it was with Nancy Spalding. So we have, I'm sorry. Again, as you introduced us, we have Dave Rodriguez, our Assistant Commissioner. Dave has been here in Nancy's seat as well, has worked through project development and operations. So now he's really responsible for everything that you'll see tonight. Nancy is here as well. Nancy Spalding has also kind of worked through project development as a right-of-way engineer and project manager, and now the district maintenance engineer, who's responsible for the region, and Dana Lacasse and I will be presenting today. So I'm the project manager for the 42600, as New Hampshire DOT knows it. And is really the East Main Street project. And when Scott and I and Nancy and Dana and Mr. Rodriguez had met initially, we kind of brainstormed how we could present this. So I think I can give you a brief update, really a status of where we are with the design and how we got to currently where we're at. And then Dana is going to walk through access management as well as the permitting associated with driveway review. So, Madam Chair, thank you very much for the list of developments. That's going to be really helpful for Nancy, Dana, and I. And I'll sort of explain how we would use it when we go through. So again, more of a general review of where we're at with the East Main Street project. And then I think I'm going the right way. Apologize. Okay. So again, I'm the project manager for Tilton 42600 up on the screen. And sorry, before I also passed out some handouts, slides that you can follow along, as well as the pamphlet. You'll see a slide on the Section 106 process, which is going to be important for this project. Our project development process is a simple handout to kind of explain where we're at, as well as our Bureau of Right-of-Ways handout, because the project is likely to have impacts on property, private property, and therefore there is a process associated with that. But in general, sort of to catch everybody up, so this is the revised scope of work. So really, I picked this project up about the time that we had the 23 gas, or just shortly after the 23 GASSET hearings. And originally the project existed as the intersection improvements for School Street and Main Street. And there was a little bit of concern about that project. And from a project management standpoint, the ability to communicate early on with the town as far as what the scope of work is really important before we set the path. So at that time in 23, we didn't have any engineering or right-of-way funds to be able to start the project. So again, from my perspective, it's a really great time to be able to chart the path. And so following the GASSET hearings, we came up with, an opportunity to kind of continue work as well as study the Main Street. So we've got some different colors up on the screen. And I'm hoping that here's my cursor if everybody can see it. So what we have done as far as the construction with the 42600 is the area in green. District 3 had been investigating improvements along the Winnipesaukee River over the several years. So we were able to really use the information that they had. That was started with state funds. As soon as we federalize it, we need to make sure that we follow all of the environmental regulations under the National Environmental Policy Act. And so there is a little bit of catch up to do, but I think District 3 has left the design team in a great spot to be able to pick that up once we bring that up to speed. The other thing that we have kind of come up with is, as far as the yellow goes, the idea is that we're going to study the operation, the traffic, the safety, kind of the use along Main Street between Park Street and really the second intersection, and I keep losing my cursor, but the second at-grade crossing. So this entire area under yellow is really initially to be able to kind of study and come back to the community and identify, what are some potential opportunities that we can include in the construction of the green area and be able to, improve, whether it's safety, crossings. I know that there's some concerns about not losing parking, and then obviously the crossings around some of the existing intersections. So we got a couple ways that we have strategized on how to do that. Our typical process is to go out and collect some traffic. We're also going to review the safety information, but one of the ideas that we'd really like to implement and we think is beneficial is a lot of communities, and Tilton has done it as well, is we, for some of the problem intersection areas, we go through a road safety audit. So we want to do a similar 1 to 2 day field review with the community, District 3, emergency services, to basically walk through and identify all of the problem areas and come up with some initial solutions. So early on, probably likely this summer, we're going to be reaching out through Scott to be able to set that up and bring the entire team and really sort of collaborate on potential options that we could look at. And then the other thing, specifically within the downtown area, the blue areas that we've incorporated in the project, we've got 3 specific locations that are on our curbed ramp inventory as problem areas. The one, sorry, I keep losing my cursor, but I think the first one that's like in between the green and the yellow is really that pedestrian crossing at the Tilton Island Park, so that we're going to bring that up. Again, most of these are more final design from my perspective, where we need the survey and we need to be able to get into the fine tuning of making sure that the curb ramp has the appropriate grades and stuff. The other location is around the Park Street. Again, we know that we have some inadequate curbed ramp designs and crossings and lack of sidewalks, so we'll be investigating that area. And the third one that we brought in is the crossing at the Tilton School. where they kind of step down right onto the traveled way. So we're going to bring that in to be able to do that. So that necessarily won't be an exhaustive study for us to do, but it's certainly something that we're looking to add into the construction plans for the green area. And then the last area is something really that Nancy brought up early on in our initial scoping was, to continue really the traffic and safety review all the way through to the lows. We have that unbuilt section east of where, we need the retaining wall and adjust some of the utilities, but really, are there, again, some low cost solutions that we can implement if possible within the budget if they agree. So we're gonna, as part of the engineering, we're planning on incorporating the entire length from Park Street all the way through Lowe's as part of our traffic and safety review that we can review on that field day that we have with everybody. I went the wrong way again. Again, the project scope is really targeted for construction of that East Main Street section. So we're going to continue to final design that District 3 had started. We'll focus on safety with the curb ramp design. As I spoke about, we're certainly going to we're going to coordinate with concurrent projects. So really appreciate the list of potential developments. And then obviously try to study some low cost stuff and then make sure that we continue. And then I'm really happy that Glenn is here as well. So we can sort of coordinate as we move forward. All right. So as far as 42600 project goes, we had funding for engineering starting in fiscal year 24. So as soon as we really got out of the GASSET hearings, we were able to obligate funding and start. And I believe and then we do have a specific phase for right of way. Whatever comes out of the construction, we do anticipate some impacts along the Winnipesaukee River, as well as we're going to have to coordinate any of the impacts around the curbed ramp design at a minimum. So we do have a specific phase that once we understand all of our impacts and we review that with the appropriate agencies, then we can step in and be able to start right-of-way plans and working with the individual property owners. The construction budget is $1.6 million approximately. Again, these are all in 24, really last year dollars. And there's a difference between what I'm showing on the screen and what's in the 10-year plan. You'll see about $3 million within the 10-year plan. And what that includes is there's administrative costs associated with that, as well as inflation for the year of construction. So the 10-year plan does account for the fact that construction will not begin right away. We're anticipating that construction could begin in 29, and I'll show you what we're thinking. So for the project that I'm responsible for, we're really at the initial phase. We obligated funds. We've been able to, hopefully you saw some of our surveyors out in the field being able to collect the field data that's important for our design teams to begin the traffic and safety review, as well as some of the environmental analyses that need to be done. Once, I think really after following the summer, you're going to see us ramping up a little bit to understand exactly what the impacts are before that we can even select an alternative. Most of our process is the analysis. We'll bring all of that information to the town, we'll review it, and then we'll sort of understand what the next path is, depending on the selected alternative. We do have a formal public hearing process when we do have impacts outside the right-of-way that we'll be following well before we get to final design. So again, recent activities, hopefully you saw some of the surveyors. We've been able to, previously District 3 had collected survey along the green area that I showed before, along the Winnipesaukee River, but we were able to go out and we're hoping that we collected enough information along Main Street to be able to do that review. We have started, the wall has been started, so that's great. And then we're currently scoping all of the traffic and safety studies that we think that we need to do with the consultant. So again, I'm anticipating most of that work will begin late spring, early summer. And then the consultant will also be helping out with making sure that we satisfy all of our environmental regulations. So here's the draft schedule based on the 10-year plan and where we stand today. Like the big note is that this schedule is based on our typical design. So until we really get into what we're doing and we have that base information to make some decisions, this is the study. So this is the schedule that we're working off of. And this year we anticipate being able to complete most of those environmental analyses, with the exception of the historic. And we'll sort of talk about that in 1 second. Next year, I would anticipate us being able to work through all of that coordination, specifically with the Division of Historic Resources and within our own internal staff. And then before that, we can begin to target what we would do for right-of-way plans and final design, which would be anticipated in 28, 29 before construction. So again, this is our typical schedule for the entire project development process. 10-year plan projects do take a while, and so this is representative of traditionally what we do. So the pamphlet one of the pamphlets, the small trifold that I handed out, is this, kind of an orientation to the Section 106 process. We anticipate that our environmental and specifically our historic consultant that we're bringing on will be engaging the community through this process. And I think the best way for anybody interested in cultural resources or historic preservation is to be a consulting party. And this is specifically through Federal Highway. And this slide will be posted onto the website for those that are at home and want to see it. But really, this is a Federal Highway process. So if you're interested in understanding a little bit more and being a party at the table, I would recommend emailing Jamie Sikora, jamie.sikora at fhwa.dot.gov for those that are home. And likely not much will happen this year, but as we identify what the impacts would be, a consulting party would be invited to our agency review meeting that we have once a month when the project is scheduled to attend. And actually if we do identify any impacts and there's a need for mitigation, and mitigation could be as simple as plaques or some other requirements that we might have to document, then you would be at the table. So again, strongly recommend if your Heritage Commission or Historic Society or anybody wants to be involved, that we get them, over this course of the next 2 years on board, so they can be part of that. So again, I think I just wanted to quickly, I should have identified that when we do our traffic study, specifically for the 10-year plan projects, that what we'll do is we will contact the town. We'll also work through District 3. So the list of potential development projects is really important. And when we identify what the traffic is for those, we need to consider background developments. We do have an established growth rate that we traditionally use, but if it's a little bit more complex, we'll look at that. So we'll not only analyze the improvements for the existing traffic that we see, but also what we think we might see in 20 years. So I can't thank you enough really for the list that we could start to review, but knowing what we have planned over the next 3 to 5 years, and then even potentially, and again, we not only would we talk to you, I should have said that we would also engage Lakes Region, because there might be some quarter level stuff that we need to be considerate of. So that's the other thing. And then the schedule is such that it's a little bit longer, and I am aware that through District 3 that the town had contacted Nancy about concerns about drainage, where the potential wall would go. So that at this point, most of it, we have had Dana and folks look at the drainage. It's basically surface related, and we feel that over the TEDs we'll still consider to have routine maintenance as needed, but it's not a safety issue, and certainly over the time that we have the wall design, we'll be continuing to look at that. So just in summary of the 10-year plan, The town has already gone through the process with the project that I just talked about. This is legislated with a statewide transportation improvement plan, as well as a 10-year that we need to go through every 2 years. We're currently in the odd year. So the projects have already been proposed last year to Lakes Region. They've been voted on. They've been forwarded to the department to review the cost and the potential scope. I know that currently right now they're working through that list of projects and how it fits within the 10-year plan, and they'll send comments back to Lakes Region. So that's something that happens every 2 years. And as we identify stuff within the project, we'll communicate with Scott. But really, the 10-year plan is the community's opportunity to be able to look at more larger scale. And we can talk about that in a little bit, as opposed to what Dana and Nancy are responsible for. So I think that's really all I have for this. I think you have the right people in the room, honestly, as far as, local and immediate projects that you're planning through your developers. And certainly if you have specific questions, but I guess at this time I'd open up at my portion to you if you have any specific questions about the Main Street project and really what I have in store over the next 3 to 5 years.
Your options for the yellow segment of your previous graph, downtown. Okay, there's a sizable, we'll call it a round spot in there. And I was wondering if the DOT's solutions leans in favor of a roundabout.
We don't have any solutions at this time. Again, the idea this summer is that we're gonna come as part of the engineering, because the engineering is just beginning. We'll come. The first step, now that we have survey, is to sort of walk the corridor and identify what the problems are. And then the next step would be, initially within that first meeting with the town and emergency services and District 3 to sort of brainstorm solutions that we would look in. So currently at this time, I have no solutions.
I have a follow-up question to that. I sat in the meeting with DOT number 3, who brought up the roundabout idea half a dozen times, bare minimum. So now, I don't know if you guys are like Concord or number 3 or where you come from, but now you have no preconceived notions.
Coming out of the Gassett hearing in 23, so about a year and a half ago, the community was concerned about the roundabout, and that initial project was a roundabout. It was listed as a roundabout project. Now we have changed that scope so that we can continue to work on Main Street, but the scope of work is really, for construction, is to address the green area beginning at the at-grade crossing and continuing through to just past.
I would say that's certainly the most important stretch of this right this second.
And what we committed to is we will identify if there's any lower cost solutions that really don't change the character of the roadway, but is there something is there a potential for something that would still fit within the project budget for construction? And honestly, sir, I don't have what that solution would be at this time. But at this time, the scope of work is not to improve the School Street and Main Street intersection. The scope of work is to address the green area, which is I would consider part of the East Main Street section.
Okay, terrific.
Okay. Is there anybody online that has a question for Jason? Can you speak up rather than just raise a hand, because we have the display? Okay, hearing none.
Can we pull that down so see if anybody's raising their hand? Just can't get.
I don't see anybody raising a hand.
No, I don't either.
No one was raising their hand at that time.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Thank you. So I guess we are all finished with the questions.
I have
We have a
Jason.
question in the audience.
All right.
Yeah, there's
John, go ahead.
So, well, first, I can't find that email. Can we post that somewhere?
It's
Email
it's
address?
right here
Jamie?
in here. The Sakura.
Yeah. for
It's
the
right
people
in this
that-
one right here.
The people that are online, make sure they have it. Is it on in here?
It's right in here on the left-hand side where it says National Historic Preservation Act.
It's on the screen so they can see it, John.
It's Jamie.
Okay. I see it, yeah.
JMIE.
In case somebody asks, yep.
Yep.
So you spoke of the 2-year review that they have every 2 years. Are we in that presently?
As far as the 10-year plan process, you're in year number 2 of the graphic on the right-hand side.
Okay. So we're involved, that's working in the works now.
That's in there. Currently, the projects that were submitted last year to Lakes Region are in New Hampshire DOT Planning and Community Assistance Review. And then any of the comments will get sent back out to the regional planning commissions. And then there'll be, I would say, another month or two after that, you'll start seeing, I think, the initial Gasset hearing presentations by Assistant Commissioner. So.
Okay. And the other concern I had is, what if, are you prepared for any remedial stuff? Because I know of driving down the road there, about 25 to 30% of the posts that hold that guardrail up have completely failed. The guardrail actually flops around. So I don't see how 5 years from now well, first, I can't understand why it's considered safe if the guardrail can't hold the car. And the other thing is, 5 years from now, if we're going to wait 5 years just to make that road or the guardrail safe, I can't see it. I think it needs another look at that a lot closely. Go right up and, look at each post, because I've photographed them over the years, each post, and they're gone. And I also know some more washout this year. Again,
Fortunately, we have the right people in the room. So between now and construction of that section, Dana and his staff in District 3 would be reviewing that. So I can let Dana come up in a second and speak to that. But thank you, sir.
And
Thank you, Jason.
that's it for right now. The only other thing, you could address the rest of Route 3 going all the way up to the lake and through there, because I'm just looking at this count. We have like 450 new housing units along with the new development for, was it the Anchorage, what was formerly, that will be coming online.
I don't think that would be Jason. I think that would be the rest of District 3. Am I right, Nancy? Yeah. Okay. That would be.
That's going to be a big concern, because all that's going to be, meanwhile, while we're looking at this over there, that's going to start turning into a
Right.
big problem too.
It's a great question. Dana's going to speak to that in a second. The scope of work, just to be clear, the scope of work for the study and the engineering was, everything that was highlighted or outlined in the different colors. The scope of work for construction was the green area, beginning at the at-grade rail crossing to complete that section of Route 3. So outside of that, it's not within the scope of work for this East Main Street project.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. So Steve's got a question for you, Jason.
When you do your study, my name's Steve O'Leary. I live on School.
Hold on a minute, Steve. We need a mic.
Like always. My name is Steve O'Leary. My concern is the traffic study. What time of day are you guys going to do your traffic study? Because I've seen too many projects in this town that they do the traffic study from like 10 to 3. The worst part of the traffic is from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till about 6, especially downtown area. I hope you guys will spend the time at that time of evening instead of going home at 3:30 like most of them do. See what the traffic really is like down here, because it is getting worse and worse all the time.
So that's a really great question. So our traffic study will likely be two different things. We'll likely put in tube counters, and that will operate for 7 straight days. And then likely we'll have at least 1 or 2 locations where we will do video counts so that we can understand the turning traffic at the different intersections. So and that would again operate 24 hours for 7 days. That's typically what we would do in a corridor like this. At a minimum, it's really important for us to pick up Wednesday, Thursday, all hours of the day to understand what we're doing midweek. And then where we know that we have, Saturday traffic patterns, we would do weekend counts as well at a bare minimum. But most likely we would install the tube counters that will help monitor traffic for 7 days over that 24-hour period. And then we would pick up specific information at the intersections. And all of that, we would identify vehicles, bicyclists, and pedestrians as well. So we'll have counts on all of that. That's a great question.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So for those people I haven't met yet, I'm Dana Lacasse. I'm the Assistant District Engineer for the DOT Maintenance District 3. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the access management piece, the part that really the maintenance district kind of focuses on as part of corridor management. So this slide kind of really just gives you kind of a rundown of what access management really is. So it's kind of the balance between mobility, getting vehicles through a corridor, and then allowing abutting property owners to actually access the roadway. Route 3 through Tilton is actually considered a principal arterial, which would, according to this chart, it's kind of relates to a major arterial. So you can see that the main focus would be to get traffic through the corridor, and access may be a little bit limited as opposed to, like, say, a smaller neighborhood street where access is really more the main focus and mobility is maybe not as much of a thing. You don't want people flying through a neighborhood and that kind of thing. So why do we introduce access management? So the big reasons are preserving the integrity of the roadway. So basically, if we want to make sure that whoever's going to be building an access to the road is going to be doing it properly, they're not going to be creating any kind of issues as far as drainage coming in, flooding out the roadway, causing problems for icing in the winter maintenance. Also, addressing traffic issues. So if there's a lot of traffic coming in from a development, we want to make sure that the roadway is going to be able to handle that traffic. It's not going to cause any damage or impacts to backing up traffic or dangerous situations or crashes, that kind of thing. We also want to make sure that whatever is being built is going to provide for vehicles going through the area to kind of understand and expect what they're going to be coming upon, and make sure that everything is kind of built to a uniform standard. So that way there's no kind of surprises for traffic traveling through, that they're going to come upon something that they're not expecting, and then not know what to do when they get there. So how is it achieved? Through different policies, directives. So there's actually a state law on the books that we'll talk about in a little bit. Different regulations, codes, your own planning organization is part of it. So everyone kind of takes a piece of reviewing the development, how it impacts things, making sure that there's a good design and good thought process behind the development, so that way access management can be achieved. So this slide kind of just illustrates a few different techniques and tools that we can use to help with access management. So I know big picture is a roundabout. It's one tool that can be used for certain areas if it happens to be the correct solution. Along the bottom, there's a few other ones. So the far left, undivided roadway. Basically making sure that traffic can the roadway is big enough to manage the amount of traffic that's going through it. Then you kind of increase things. So the two-way left turn, so that's really there. Left turn lanes are really there to allow for traffic that may need to turn across opposing traffic. Gives them a little space to park safely until they have an opportunity to turn safely, but also get out of the way of traffic that's moving through in the same direction, so that way they're not causing backups. And then a raised median, so that's really kind of restricting traffic, making left turn movements. So really looking at different ways that you can eliminate conflicting turning movements and reduce backups and try to keep traffic flowing smoothly and safely. Some of the benefits of making sure you have good access management. So for every 10% decrease in travel time, actually increases the market area by about 23%. So basically, if you can get to where you're hoping to get to a little bit quicker, then you're more likely to be able to travel further and get to where you want to go. So it's a benefit for businesses and economics in the area that you're looking at. And delays can just increase costs of shipping and doing business in an area if traffic can't get through the area efficiently. So for DOT's part of it, the way we get involved with access management, it really starts with a driveway permit. Recently, the DOT's started putting all the driveway permits into a new online system that's been developed, went live late last year. So in order to get to that, this is a DOT's website, and you can see the cursor here. Well, so the orange arrow here and that green box that says, "How can we help you today?" The top drop down is where you really want to go, and it brings you straight to a choice to apply for a permit. That will take you to our permits page, where we have a few choices here. There's several different permits that DOT gets involved with. The main one we're talking about here tonight is for driveways. So you'll have a link to where you can get to the application page and some other documents, our driveway policy. We're actually working on revising the driveway policy now because of this new online system and some recent changes to the driveway RSA that's come up. And then some environmental documents that for larger developments, we ask that the developer go through these checklists to make sure that they're being responsible for the environment at the same time. This is what the DOT permit portal looks like. So an applicant would go up to that top drop down and click apply for a driveway permit. They would set up an account, be able to put all their information in, property ownership information, plans. For a larger development, they would upload traffic studies and any of the other information that we request for the DOT to review. We would go through our review process, and there would be some discussion back and forth to make sure the design meets our requirements, and then we would either issue or deny a permit. So I mentioned there's a state law that where all this stems from, RSA 236.13. And this is not the full text of the law, but I've copied some key points. So number one, it's unlawful to construct or alter a driveway on a state roadway in any way without first getting a permit. Section 2B is another big one. All driveways must have all season safe sight distance, 400 feet in both directions. So that means even when there's a snowbank next to their driveway, they still must have that 400 feet of sight distance. So however they design their driveway, it needs to account for that. No driveway permit allows a driveway to be any wider than 50 feet. Most of the time we permit driveways at much less than that. And depending on the frontage, there will not be allowed more than 2 driveways unless they have extensive frontage on the roadway. And then this last section, part 6, it goes into the fact that once the driveway is constructed, the maintenance of the driveway is still the responsibility of the property owner. We get questions all the time. I'm sure your town maintenance folks get the same question all the time about whether or not their driveway culvert is going to be maintained by our crews, and that's not the case. That's actually part of the driveway. Driveway maintenance is the responsibility of the property owner. Our driveway policy, there's a link to it on that driveway permits page. Here's just some examples of what is included in that policy. It goes through some requirements on plans that we might be looking for, depending on the size of the driveway, the amount of impacts that they might be expected to have. And then there's some standard details on different widths and distances from other intersections. This is sort of a preamble in our driveway policy. The real purpose of it is to make sure that there's a set procedure that everyone can be aware of when they do apply for a driveway. They know what to expect, what is expected of them, what we are going to be reviewing, and just to know the process that their application is going to go through before they get a permit approved. And again, it references back to that RSA 23613. Or really, the requirements that DOT is looking at are really pretty basic, and it just relates back to that 400 feet of sight distance, and making sure that there's adequate width and the traffic is going to be mitigated if there is a major traffic impact. So this kind of runs down the whole process that the permit follows. Like I said, it begins with a driveway permit completed in the online system. We'll review the materials and request additional information if there's anything needed. For a standard driveway, like a typical single-family residence, it's pretty minimal. We'd look for if the property owner, the applicant is in fact the property owner, and if there's any other concerns that we have as far as drainage, if they need a culvert, or if there's going to be any issues with sight distance, and if there's going to be any work that they need to do to make sure that they have that 400 feet of sight distance. For major driveways and major traffic generators, larger developments like the box stores and that kind of thing, that type of review could be pretty substantial. We look more at how much traffic they're generating, if there's any kind of stormwater impacts that they might have. If there are traffic impacts, how are they going to mitigate that? What kind of work are they going to need to do to the roadway to make sure that they can manage that traffic appropriately? We take a look at all the materials, sight distance, all the traffic impacts, make sure everything's in conformance with the RSA and anything else that may be in the driveway policy that we'd be requesting. Ideally, this driveway permit policy is a partnership with the town. So when they're going through the planning board process with the town, they should also be engaging the DOT at the same time to make sure that we're kind of all our efforts are kind of coinciding. Any requirements that the town has, they're incorporating those with their plans. Those plans are also shared with the DOT to make sure that they're going to be incorporating the concerns that we have with impacts to the state roadway. And in the end, once the driveway permit's approved, those should be the plans that they've shared with you all and have gotten approved with the planning board as well. Once the permit's approved for the DOT, it's signed, and typically a copy would be sent to the town. We haven't had any in Tilton lately that's been signed, so we might not have seen any in a while. Once the permit is signed, any change in use or increase in use of the driveway after that, the property owner is required to reapply to update that permit. So there's different topics that we would look at when we're reviewing things. First goes back to property ownership. Do they actually have a right to access, create a driveway, build anything on that property that they're applying for? What's the type of right-of-way on that roadway? Not all right-of-way is created equal. It's typical prescriptive easement right-of-way. they're free to have access. If it's a controlled access right away or limited access right away, access to the property might be restricted. Sight distance again, whether or not they have that 400 feet of sight distance in both directions. What are the traffic impacts? If it's a single family home, it's probably going to be no impact. If it's a larger commercial development or a larger residential subdivision, there might be some substantial impacts that they have to address. What are they doing for stormwater management? Is there going to be any runoff that comes off of the property into the state right away? And if that's the case, how are they going to manage it so their runoff is not any greater than it had been before the development? And then along with all those concerns, we want to look at the plans on how they plan to mitigate all that traffic and the stormwater impacts. So those plans include roadway reconstruction, striping, traffic signals if it's required, any other stormwater management to improve the system or upgrade the system to manage runoff, where are the utilities coming from, and then again, like I said, any requirements that the town has. So we have examples where the town's requiring part of the development to include sidewalks and landscaping, that kind of stuff. If that's the case, then we want to see where it is in the roadway and understand what that's going to make the roadway look like when the construction is complete. Here's a couple clips of what a permit would look like once it's signed in our system. This is from an example from the town, actually, the veterans home up on the hill. The top left picture is right on the front page. Has some information on the landowner, where the property is, the date that the permit was issued. Top right is some more information on the location, what the driveway is going to be used for, and some information on right of way in the area, the width of the driveway, and the type of driveway that's going to be used. If there's a culvert that's required, that information will be in this line too. The line running across the middle of the page, applicants shall comply with all applicable ordinances and regulations of the municipality and other state agencies. That's standard language that's included in all of our DOT driveway permits, and that's really there to kind of protect the town's interests as well as the DOT's. So that way, if they come to the DOT before getting a planning board approval, this line is meant to protect the town's interests in case they have additional requirements that were not known at the time. And then similarly, if there's any other state agencies that require something like DES or anything like that, then they need to follow along with that. Something that District 3 typically does, this bottom clip, we usually reference any plans that were included in their application, title, who prepared it, and the date of the last revision. So that way, when you folks get a copy of the permit, or if the developer presents a permit to you, you can reference that line and compare to the plans that they're presenting to you to make sure that this permit is valid. And that way you can compare and make sure that they're showing you the same thing that they've been showing the DOT. So this is a quick summary of sort of how, who's responsible for different stages of it. Like I said, the legislation, again, 236.13. Who can propose a driveway is usually private landowners for their development, but also municipalities for town roads. So typically if a town is repaving, or for some reason they're constructing a new roadway, again, that's considered a driveway if it's intersecting with the state road. So we ask that towns apply for a driveway permit for those cases. Who reviews an application? So the land use piece of it is the municipality. The DOT doesn't get involved with land use and planning and zoning, that kind of stuff. The only thing that DOT looks at is the driveway access and whether or not it's going to meet those requirements that we spoke about before. Occasionally there may be other collaborators, so like other state agencies like DES, public utilities, if there's water line, sewer, or electric that needs to be hooked up to the development. Who approves it? The land use, again, is town municipality. State DOT does not have planning and zoning rules, so that's all up to the town. The driveway permit is DOT. And then who constructs it in the end is the landowners, the developer themselves. And then again, if it's a town road, then it would be whoever the town contracts with to do that type of work. The other piece that DOT District 3 manages is we're part of the Division of Operations, so we're really a maintenance district. And so that means, filling potholes and guardrail and washouts on the side of the road. So typical example, you brought up, I think last summer sometime, there was a call from the town that there was some washouts along the slope along the river. We had our crew go out, take a look at it. We didn't see that there was anything really alarming at the time. It filled in the washouts and returned back to whatever else they were doing that day. So really that's what the maintenance district does, aside from reviewing driveway permits, maintaining the roadway, making sure that there's any safety issues that there are in the area, within the abilities that we have, constrained by our budget and the resources that we have, obviously. And then here again is another summary. Legislation, those two laws kind of allow the DOT to be a part of maintaining the road. And then I believe one of those RSAs is actually related to town maintenance, very similar to the town highway departments. Who can propose this work? Really anyone. If someone sees an issue, call up and report it. Our crews will go out and take a look at it, check it out. We'll review if there's anything that we can do, or if it's something more than we can manage. And then, our state road crews, or any road crews, will be the ones that would fix it, depending on the roadway. Maintenance crews are just that, maintenance. We're not equipped for larger, full-scale construction projects. So, like large, major corridor widening projects, that's not what the maintenance district is able to take on for work. It's really about maintaining what's already been built out there, and addressing any issues that people report on. So here's kind of all three sort of pieces that we talked about tonight, tied together: 10-year plan projects, driveway, roadway access, roadway maintenance. Just kind of summarizing who's sort of responsible for each step in the process. Again, District 3, Nancy Spalding and myself, and then Jason, project manager for the project. And I think that's all we really have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. I appreciate it. Any questions for Dana?
Dana,
John?
I was looking at the slide. I think it was, like slide number 15 and some of those where we talk about access management and that. Now, everything on there, that's a third of a mile. That's a 4-lane road, median strip in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that we're all of this, a lot of the development is happening. It's a 2-lane road with no side for pedestrians, bicycles, or anything at all, and guardrails. Once all these, and I just totaled it up, it's 601 additional units, and that will be coming to town the next 2 years. How are you going to address the fact that the traffic over the last, I don't know, maybe 50 years has grown enormously, but the only section of road that's changed is that third of a mile? I don't know if you've driven through here.
I'm familiar with the area, yes.
The other part, like I say, is pedestrians and the bicycles. They just can't handle it now.
Yeah.
Is that in the 10-year plan to address all that, or where are we going with that?
So the 10-year plan, that would have to be brought up to the planning commission, and Jason, you might be able to fill in on that process a little bit more. As far as if the development is in the area, We've seen this in Laconia recently with a couple developments. The town actually requires the development to put in sidewalks along the frontage for when they develop the lot. Those sidewalks are sort of disjointed because they're coming in bits and pieces along just the frontage that gets developed. Eventually, long term, they'll become one continuous piece along the roadway. But it's part of the town's requirement for them to put it in. So that's how sidewalks get built in that area. DOT itself does not maintain any sidewalks. So that's a town maintenance responsibility.
Well, how about like up by Winnisquam, that little piece where there's like a bridge and you got little cottages on the side? Whose responsibility for that? I mean, eventually that's going to have to get fixed. Or
The Mosquito Bridge, is that the one you're talking
no,
about?
before that, Mosquito Bridge is all redone.
Yeah.
But coming this way, there's another narrow space right by the Econo Lodge,
Mhm.
and that.
Yeah, the causeway, right?
The causeway.
And that-
Causeway?
Yeah. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a project like that would end up having to be something, I believe, part of the 10-year plan process.
I think it's time to start looking at that. Probably should have already been in it, but that's something. Also, rights of way for bicycle paths. I know we have like a wild trail, which would alleviate some of the people from going on these roads if they could get from A to B up through there.
Sorry, so I'll jump in on the 10-year plan. So the department is very maintenance oriented. Currently, we don't have a budget to start improving projects above and beyond. The 10-year plan is really, a process driven by the community initially through the Regional Planning Commission for Tilton. So if you're interested, it really impedes or really advantageous to talk to Glenn and Shauna to start thinking ahead. The 42600 or the East Main project that was started by the community. It was accepted by Lakes Region as one of their priority projects, and that was forwarded to the department as an applicant. And eventually, it gets signed into law by the governor. So, I think if the town is interested in improving sections of Route 3 outside of what we already have within the project that I'm managing, then I would start working through Scott and identifying that. And Glenn is the right person. You brought Shauna and Glenn to the meeting to kind of identify those. So that would be the first step, and we recommended the communities for most projects because there's always a desire to do more, but we are limited by scope and primarily funds that we have available to us through the 10-year plan. So if you're really interested in improving sections of the roadway, I would start discussing that and seeing what opportunities Lakes Region has to assist you through your transportation advisory committee and ideas that you have within the town. I don't know if that helps you, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
So
The other question I had is on the database of driveway permits, or is there a database that's accessible to see where things are with driveway permits, what the latest plan was that was submitted for that? And the other part of that question I have is, do you send out, once you get a driveway permit, do you send it out to the town to let them know, or do they have to seek it?
Yeah, so we send it out. Usually it's to the land use coordinator. I spoke with my tech before we had this presentation just to be sure that's who it gets sent out to. What was the other question you had?
So is there a database where you can look up and see what was
Because we
issued?
moved to this new online system, we had an older system that there was a database that the driveway permit locations were online. It didn't give you a ability to look at plans, but you could see if there was a permit issued, the date on it, and I think it gave you the type of driveway that it was on. Since we moved to this online system, long term, I believe there is a goal to put that kind of map together online. It's just not there yet. And if there are questions you have need to look at a plan or something like that, we'd be happy to share with the town. Just have to ask for it.
If somebody took out a permit and then completely revised their plan,
Mhm.
is there a way for an ordinary citizen to check to see if you guys are aware of that, or online, or do you have to call up each instance?
Right now, you'd probably have to call up the district and find out. Yeah. An ordinary citizen, I don't know if that would be something public knowledge that we would provide. But
Great to know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the town, like I mentioned in the on the driveway permits that DOT provides. So this bottom piece here, it mentions the plan that was provided for the veterans home when they were trying to relocate their driveway. So the plan titled DOT Drive Plan prepared by Fuss and O'Neill has that revision date on it. So if they're providing something different to you guys and it doesn't match what this permit says, the DOT would very much like to know that to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Where are those available?
This is on the driveway permit.
So where would somebody
Online.
look at that?
Yeah, it would be in our online system.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
and it has those dates in that.
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Dana, I have a question, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, and I don't. That's not my intent, but I just wanted to know what the thought process was, because we have this huge hotel.
Yeah.
I guess it's called a hotel, but there are other businesses directly across or diagonally across the street that have vehicles coming in and out. And now right next to it, we have another 43 units, condos coming out as well. And my understanding is that it's not a condo lodge, Catherine. What was it? The inn there right by Cardigan Court, right on the corner. What was that?
Roadway.
The roadway? No.
Winnisquam Inn, right?
I was going to say Normandy, but that was years ago.
Well, Normandy, but my understanding is that just sold and they want to expand as well. My understanding is that just sold and they want to do a lot of renovations and things. So what is the thought process of DOT with lights? Because now you have this huge hotel and you have all this traffic coming in on going into the causeway, which is a turn right on the lake.
Talking about traffic signals, not
Yeah,
street
traffic
lights,
signals. Yeah, signals.
So part of the review process when we have a driveway permit application, we look at that traffic study that they would provide to show what the anticipated traffic volumes are and what they come in. And they would also look at different turning movements and what they anticipate where the traffic is going to be going. Using that information, there's certain traffic signal warrants that get looked at. Traffic engineers will look at. I think there's, I don't know if you guys know, 9 or 11 warrants or something like that. You remember how many there are? There's like 11 questions that a traffic engineer asks, and it's kind of almost like a checkbox. Depending on what the answers to those are, that will tell you if there's a traffic signal that is warranted at that location. And if not, then that's not the recommended access control for that intersection. And you look at other things like turning lanes and that kind of stuff. You mentioned that there's some development near that hotel. DOT District 3 hasn't seen any applications for that development.
They're existing. You already have them. So you across the street, 770.
770.
He clear cutted the entire 13 acres, but he is
Just before the causeway.
Just before the causeway on the
Okay.
left.
just before the causeway.
There's
on
still
the
a
left.
house sitting there.
Okay.
There's a
I think I
house
know what you're
which
talking
he's
about.
turning into an office, but
Yeah.
he is a manufacturing home developer.
Okay.
So
We'll have to look into that. I'm not
That's-
familiar with that.
13 acres.
We have a permit for that one
He already has a driveway permit.
from New Hampshire DOT.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that one because I'm not familiar with that one.
Right.
Yeah.
And the next, I mean, abutting him is Cardigan Court, which part of the plan next to them is going to be Profile Drive, which is 43 condos. It's the same owners.
Okay.
They have 44 condos on the left, which is Cardigan Court, and they're going to go up Profile Drive, which is 44 condos.
When were these developments
Well,
submitted through the town?
Janice, you online? So Cardigan Court was 10 years maybe.
Okay.
And then it was put on hold at the time for Profile Drive. And now he wants to bring it back up for development.
Okay.
So it's existing road coming off because you've got the hotel right on the corner.
Yeah.
And then you've got, because they all three of them use the same road coming in.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's added traffic,
Yeah.
added
So
development.
the other piece of the driveway permit is if the driveway is not constructed within a year of the permit being issued, that permit is expired, and they need to reapply. I'm not familiar with the permits and the time frame with the developments you're talking about. It's not something that's seems like it's recent. So it's something that
It's very recent.
well, not
So-
not something that's recently gone through DOT.
Right. No, these are all coming in through the office, but he
they're
wouldn't
on here, so
need,
they'll have-
he's got it.
Yeah, so this
He-
list is interesting because there's maybe half a dozen on here that I'm familiar with. The rest is news to me.
So you
So-
would you need a driveway permit when you have the road existing already and there are existing businesses already?
Yeah.
And working, they're expanding, so.
So if it's in a existing roadway that has existing businesses on it, if the traffic impacts that the new development is creating are going to cause an impact to the state roadway, then that is, I'll see if I can find that slide here.
236,
Yes.
okay.
So basically, what would come off
So
the Cardigan?
So it would come off
Yeah.
profile.
I don't know if I have
Yep.
that language copied in this law, but the permit language will say it. Any increase in use or change in use of the access point requires a new application.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I can just make a point, I think, Dana, that's one of the big questions that has come about with our, public safety officials too. So, because I'm not sure that people are trying to take shortcuts, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But specifically what Madam Chair has talked about, and the concern is where the hotel is, and then further down 770 where the new proposed 44 units is going to be. That's going to be a significant amount of traffic in there.
Right.
I think.
Well, then,
Yeah.
in just before that, where you have the Bernard project, and
I didn't even think about that.
perhaps maybe, I mean, it's in court right now, but
Yeah.
the Wallace project, you have Bernard, which did a weight study for you folks.
Yep.
And was asked to do a center lane, a right turn lane and a left turn lane or whatever.
Just to
Go ahead.
so
Correct me, go
currently
ahead.
that project has a permit for self-storage only, and there's never been another application for any change of use of that property yet,
Except the study, right?
which DOT has not seen.
The weight study.
Correct.
You've not seen the weight study?
No, we have not.
Oh, okay. Well, that's news to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've seen that. All right. I'm just blows my mind that we don't work together more often, but that's on the developer,
Yes, so if he,
definitely. So unless we do our due diligence and say, did you go here? Did you go here? Did you go here? We won't know that.
so a good check would be to
Yeah.
part of your planning approval process, is there a DOT driveway permit that matches their proposed development?
Yeah, you're correct. I'll put that in my checklist now. Seriously. So I was told a little bit different story, so now I'll just stop right there and won't continue anymore.
Okay.
Because now I know DOT's not involved. All right, any more questions? Do we have any more questions online? Oh, I'm sorry, Catherine had her hand up.
It's kind of a comment question.
Okay.
So I'm just a little baffled. But back in the 70s, a project was created, a bypass from Laconia to Tilton, and a little segment from Franklin to Tilton. In 1978, it was killed down at the state. However, in that project, New Hampshire DOT identified the Route 311 corridor as not capable, not designed to handle the traffic and future traffic. That was 50 years ago.
Wow.
Now, New Hampshire DOT owns Route 311. The town of Tilton does not. And am I to understand that the town of Tilton is expected to put that on the 10-year plan? Because that road has literally become dangerous. I have a traffic study, traffic accident breakdown here for that road. It's quite impressive. And it has not improved. I live on Route 311. Very seldom do I pull out of my driveway and head left east to cross traffic. I typically pull to the right and find a place to turn around and then head east, depending on the time of day. That road is dangerous. It took us decades to convince New Hampshire DOT to reduce the speed on our main street. We were only successful to get it down to 25 miles per hour. I dare any of you to drive down Main Street in Tilton at 25 miles per hour and feel that you're doing something that's safe. It is not. The traffic that passes by my house is not going 40 miles an hour. We all know this. It averages probably 50, 60 miles an hour. That traffic on that road is dangerous. The speed limit could be reduced to make it a bit safer. But the volume of traffic that has increased in that 50 years is insane. But I'm sitting here listening to you say the town of Tilton has got to put it on the 10-year plan. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's New Hampshire DOT's road. You identified it 50 years ago as not adequate. And here we are. It is unsafe.
You know,
Thank you,
Mr.
Dana. I'll take that. Thank you very much for your comment and question, and thank you very much for having us here tonight as well. So at the end of the day, the transportation system we have in New Hampshire is everybody's transportation system. The DOT has roads that we maintain, and there was a time when we did what we wanted on those roads. We expanded them, we reconstructed them, and we made the best transportation system that we thought would be for the state. As we've evolved at a transportation system, we've come up with a very public process to determine what projects we're going to build every year and what we are going to do with our limited federal and state resources that we have to put towards that transportation system. Part of the process for that is what we call our 10-year plan. And projects for that 10-year plan come from the communities through the Regional Planning Commission, and then the Regional Planning Commission suggests those projects to the department. We have a very public process. We were here in Tilton a year and a half ago as part of that process, which helped us get this Main Street project a little closer to what we think the town's desire was. So that process does work. It is limited, and it does require some discussion through the RPCs and coming to us. And then, unfortunately, because we are financially constrained, it takes us far too long to build these projects that we'd like to build. And I certainly hear your frustration. And I also understand that, the fundamental reason we're here tonight is because of the town's concern with all this development that's coming. And we really appreciate being invited to explain our process with you, but also to set the next steps going forward. This communicating tonight is just a first step. So through your planning board, through your town manager, we'd be happy to meet with the town, with Lakes Region Planning Commission, and talk about the current challenges. And one thing we can do for quarters like this is what's called a quarter study, where we all sit down together, talk about the current the state of transportation, the traffic volumes, what we have out there for development and road now, what we see coming to the future, and come up with some options for what can be done in the future to make the road better. The good thing about doing that is, as we define that, and as we work with these developments that are coming in, especially the bigger ones, they will help us build that better Route 3 that we want in the future. So I understand that's not fully the answer you want, but it is a process that we have. And we want to keep talking to you because we want to work that process to the benefit of Tilton and to the benefit of Route 3. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
If
What
you
can I
drive
explain
down-
better?
If you drive down the Route 311 corridor,
Yes.
there is literally, especially, well, actually, most of it, there is very little area that you can expand the width of
That's
that
right.
road.
Yes.
You can't make sidewalks. You just can't expand it.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way you're going to make it safer is reduce the speed limit. That's a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So are you telling me that I have to go through the TAC process to reduce the speed limit on New Hampshire DOT's Route 311?
No, you don't have to go through the TAC process to reduce the speed limit. You
But
can,
frankly,
the
drive the road.
town can send a request. What we often tell you, though, there are limits to how much we will reduce the speed limit. We will typically work with your local police chief, and we'll talk about it. We'll look at it. We'll do a speed study to see how fast people are going today. And then if it's appropriate, we will lower the speed limit.
I've been at this table for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And in those years, we begged, we pleaded to get our speed limit on Main Street reduced.
Mm-hmm.
New Hampshire DOT's effort to move traffic along the Route 311 corridor, get them in, get them out. 25 miles an hour is crazy.
There's
40 miles an hour is crazy out there.
But-
This increased traffic
Sure.
that this document is showing, the road is becoming dangerous. Now, we have begged and pleaded over those 20 plus years to reduce speed limits. And it is because New Hampshire DOT wants to get them in and out, get them through, that those speed limits are not reduced.
When it comes to speed limits on state roads, there's a statutory minimum of 30 miles an hour that I think some of your supporters here in the legislature and other states help to change and give us a provision inside built-up communities to reduce to 25 miles an hour. And I think when that legislation was passed, I think we worked with you all, and I think we do have it now posted now.
Main Street is at
Yes.
25 miles an hour.
Yes.
What other main street in the state of New Hampshire is 25 miles an hour? They're typically 15 to 20.
They're typically 30 if they're state roads. There's only a couple that are 25. Tilton is one, and I believe there's a section in the southeast on a seasonal basis that gets reduced to
I
25.
apologize, but I set you up for that. 30 miles an hour,
Yes.
most of them. That's not safe. Tilton's Main Street there's a lot of activity. Restaurants, stores. We have a lot of pedestrian traffic. We have cars pulling in and out of parking lots. 30 miles an hour. Ours got down to 25 miles an hour. Not safe. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the point. It's not safe for whatever reason. And I understand you're stymied by the state. We all are, seem to be these days. But it's unsafe.
Well, and there are reasonable speed portions of the law. So if it's unreasonable to be traveling over 25 miles in Tilton, when people are backing up, then people should not be traveling over 25 miles an hour. So there's a statutory speed limit, but there is also a part of the law that states that drivers are to drive what's reasonable. And if it's reasonable to go slower, they should. One of our challenges, especially with 24 hours in a day and different traffic patterns, speeds at different times a day may be safe or unsafe. And we do make it the driver's responsibility to drive at reasonable speeds when they need to through a village center.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us tonight too.
appreciate
And
it.
be happy to take any further questions.
Yep, we'll get it, ask online. Is there anyone online that have any questions for DOT? Tim, can you take it down? So let me see if I can see if there's.
I'm
anything
not
on-
seeing any hands virtually.
Where's that voice coming from? Sound like Nate.
Nate,
Is it you,
Madam
Nate?
Chair,
it's Nate.
Our
Yep.
moderator. Just-
I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not hearing any questions.
Can I jump in there?
Okay. Eric, go ahead.
So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. And I know it does sound like we are frustrated. And I think moving forward, right? I think the good thing is that you guys came here. You gave us some good information. And there are multiple sections of this corridor that we definitely want to try to improve, right? I'm glad now you guys have the upcoming projects or projects that are that you didn't know about possibly. So I think, moving forward, I think it's important to just make sure that we're staying in contact and we're working together. And I appreciate you. I did not know the process of if this is something we want to look at for recommendations. I will make sure that I know I will want to put my input into this moving forward. I would agree with John. The section down here, the posts, I've gone over. I've pushed a couple of them. They literally are going to fall in. So, that's just one extra thing. But I do think it is important that we maintain good communication. And so again, I appreciate you guys coming in. And anytime you guys want to come back or want to have another meeting or whatnot, please don't hesitate. Let Scott know, and we would be more than happy to come back and chat, because I want to make sure the communication stays open.
Great, and we'd be happy to as well. I will say two things with respect to that. First, it would be helpful if you the select board empowers somebody, whether that's Scott or somebody else, to keep in contact with us.
Yep.
And I will make sure that we have a joint meeting with Scott and whoever else you'd like, Lakes Region Planning Commission and DOT, to talk about the best way to do a corridor study.
Perfect.
If it's something that Lakes Region Planning Commission can do for us, or if it's something we need to work through our 10-year plan process, but
Yep.
we do have corridor studies in there, and we do have some ideas of how we could do something like that within the next couple of years. The other thing is I do want to clarify a couple of points that were made tonight about driveway access applications and so forth. If a driveway comes out onto a state road, then that landowner gets a permit for us. If a driveway comes out onto a town road that connects to the state road, it's incumbent upon the town to work with that property owner and say, hey, as Dana said, town roads have driveway permits too.
Yep.
Say, hey, we have to update our driveway permit with the state, and this is your development that's pushing us to do this. So we're the applicant, but you're the one who's doing the engineering study at the end of our town road and state road, at the intersection of our town road and the state road, and we'll do the offsite mitigation that the department requires. So we will never get a permit from somebody who's working off a town road, but you all will, and you can use that in your planning approval process to make sure we don't miss any of those developments as well.
Great. Yeah, because that's a perfect example. The
Right.
one that
Yeah,
Right.
it
Madam
is.
Chair,
brought
can
up.
I just add to the commissioner's comments? I learned that in the conversation with the folks, and I'd like to personally say thank you for coming. I learned that as well. And we have a new resource. He's not in the room, but he's on the screen. And that's Glenn from Lakes
Mhm.
Region Planning
Yep.
and Shanna, the executive director. So I look at it as a big challenge for me personally, but for our community to look at this. And having access to those resources and to these folks is tremendously helpful.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait
Thank
to
you.
talk to Glenn personally on the phone
he's very good.
in
very
my
good.
job.
Yeah.
But I want to reiterate what Eric has said. I really appreciate you all coming tonight. And my door, let me wear another hat. My door is always open. My phone is ready to answer. I've had a wealth of knowledge through the year that I've been in that office from DOT. They've been extremely helpful to me. And I've still gained a lot of knowledge tonight,
Mm.
even
Yeah. Thank you.
even in my travels with them. So I appreciate you all being here, and I appreciate you helping me throughout the year as land use coordinator. So we'll end it there, I guess. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you all. We really appreciate it. We
Thank
want to
you.
get on the same page and we want to work together.
Yep.
We want to put a smile on your face. We want to be partners. Thank you.
Look there's the smile. Yay. You got one.
I'm not an ogre.
Good
Have a good night.
night, everyone.
That is ridiculous. Are you ever intact? You were intact, weren't you?
I
Not
see.
at this point. In the past.
I see the frustration
true.
in it.
It is a good group.
There's a process for everything.
Sure.
I'm glad to hear we don't have to go through TAC to reduce the speed limit on Route 3 and on Main Street.
A lot of what I heard tonight was whatever you guys want to hear. We'll be begging in another 10 years.
It's a stall thing. The whole 10-year plan. It's ridiculous that we identified years ago the erosion along there, and it's on the 10-year plan. And maybe in 5 years they'll fix it.
They're rebuilding the wall. I didn't hear anything about changing the course of the river or how that affects our island. But that's a separate thing. And
We'll see.
Yeah,
I forgot to talk to him about our sidewalk lights.
What?
Oh,
Our sidewalk lights.
Oh, downtown, yeah.
Ryan,
They
with
did
the-
send me the guidelines.
Oh, good. That's one of my questions.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we really need, this is gonna help.
Okay,
I will. Yeah.
next on our list are the selectmen's reports. Oh, wait a minute, I have one thing. Hold on one second. This is from the town clerk, tax collector. Each year they have a contest for those that register their dogs early.
Oh, yep.
They have prizes. And so I guess it's picked in April is the big prize, but they have an early bird prize. And congratulations to Harper Gerlach, Gerlach, for her 11-year-old Chihuahua, winner of the early bird raffle drawing for a dog adventure pack. Harper and her canine siblings won a pack of paw rescue harness, a pet first aid kit, a hiking book, and a Fitbit, also a Fit Bark combo.
Oh.
So congratulations. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. Little Chihuahua going hiking.
has your heartbeat and how many steps you take.
That's frightening.
Okay, Eric.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay, Joe.
Only that I will be appointed to the planning board via the Lockmere Village District effective on the 15th
Budget committee.
of, budget committee.
I was just going to
Sorry.
ask that. Yeah.
Via the district effective the 15th.
Oh, great.
Mhm.
So you'll be the budget committee's representative to the Lockmere Village District.
That's correct.
Of
We
the
haven't been
Lockmere
able to
Village
find one
districts.
for
Yeah.
3 years. I've been
I know. I get it. Great job.
But I couldn't do it because of being a selectman, and now that I won't be,
Now you can.
Yep.
Great.
yeah. And that's
I knew you were going to fill that hole somewhere.
just biding my time.
Uh-huh. Catherine.
Yes, so I basically have some questions. Where are we with the sidewalk lights?
Sidewalk lights, Shane's not still here, he took off. Sidewalk lights, we have not done anything at this point. We figured get by winter, and then myself, Shane, and Dana Lacasse, who gave us the standards, will meet to discuss using 2 or 4 of them, 4 of them. Winter Riverfront Park. No, help me, Tim. We're High School, Deer Street. I'm sorry, and 380 West Main. Yep. So we have talked with the chief as well about it. We'll have to put $150 into each sign, so that's relatively minimal amount. But we will at least be able to use those. Out of the 8 we have, we'll be able to use 4 of them there. Downtown, as the board knows, where they're needed most, I think. Downtown, unfortunately, they're going to take up too much of the parking space. We're going to lose parking spaces to do it. So I have taken a little personal initiative to begin researching some grant opportunities for downtown lighting. So
We wouldn't use parking spaces if we used 2 of them for the Island Park.
actually, no, Island Park as well. That's right. So
Okay.
well, that would be 6 out of 8. Yeah, Island Park would be a great idea. Yeah, because we can bring them to conformity in those areas without losing parking space like we would downtown. So, but that is on our agenda for future, and the last piece would probably be around the time that we replace the bridge. So.
Where are we with the sale of town property?
I have in your booklets, behind my report is the town properties and their assessed values. One of my questions to the board tonight was, did you want me to write an RFP for a realtor to market those? Or do we want to wait till after discussion with the town meeting?
One of the questions I ask every time, have we contacted the abutters?
The only abutters that I've contacted is High Street.
So
And
all
those,
all the other ones,
have not been, no.
that would be an ideal thing, because some
Well,
of them,
Yeah, and
you know, before we start hiring realtors to sell them, we could do the
well,
purchase
that's,
based on the assessed value with the abutter that may wish to purchase the land
yeah,
next to them.
and that would be something that we could undertake, John. My thought process is that the board was looking for the best bang for their buck, I guess. So obviously there's only 8 or 10 properties, so we could reach out to the
So
abutters.
some of them,
I have not.
the ones
so-
that are like the wetlands, a brook. I think
Right.
there's some that
And they're,
that Chairman had mentioned that they're steep slopes and stuff.
right, they're
That's-
identified in
That
there.
the
Yeah.
you know, talk to the neighbor. They increase their lot size. They increase the ability
Right.
to build on their lot by
Yeah.
setbacks.
Well, yeah, like Simmons Court is a steep, but it's listed here as a
It
buildable
really
lot.
isn't that steep if you look at it. It drops off suddenly and then
Yeah.
it levels.
Right, but
So you
it
get-
drops off.
But it's not high, I should say, in elevation. And then it widens up to the right.
Would the board, can I ask a question? Prior to entertaining an RFP for a realtor, would the board like me to reach out to each one of these abutters and see if there is, I mean, other than High Street, who was very interested in doing it, but we did have a discussion about a negotiated price on that one. But I can personally reach out to each one of them and say, is it something you'd be interested in? If the board would like that.
Did you see a negotiated price on that?
Yeah, well, we had a discussion about what the person wanted to pay and what we wanted to.
So is that recently or?
No, that was our last meeting. We talked about 8,000, knocking $8,000.
If you look at the additional note,
Yeah.
John,
Yeah,
It was
No,
the,
I don't recall.
it was the issue of the penalty,
penalty.
Right.
removing the penalty. But I was just going to add that with the market the way it is right now, while it's great to offer to neighbors, and things like that, the town would probably get the most amount of money from these by marketing them, even if it's non-buildable, to say, this is what's available to get the maximum amount of money from each lot.
That was my thought process.
Okay, so we didn't discuss an agreement or anything with them?
No,
We've
Okay.
had various discussions, but nothing.
over the years.
Yeah,
Inclusive.
that's what I want to.
Wolf Road. I'm curious. The assessed value is pretty high, but it's considered not buildable.
That was
Doesn't
from,
make sense.
that was from our building inspector, so.
Yep, he didn't walk it. He just looked at the
Looked-
property.
yeah.
I think that there's lots of different spots in that there are buildable spots in there. You look at it, there are some considerable wetlands in the middle of that property.
Yes, I have property
Yeah.
that abuts it.
Right,
It does get wet down in there, but there's also dry, and
right.
we all know that you can mitigate wetlands and build on them.
Right.
And it's beach property.
That
This
was,
time of year with snowpack, wouldn't it behoove us to give it maybe another month before we have a realtor go to those properties?
absolutely. Yep.
But it
Yep.
doesn't stop us from finding one.
No, exactly.
Although we had a gentleman that's a realtor that's helped us with properties in the past.
Mhm.
Would
Stick to what we know.
Would we stay with what
Right.
was served us, or?
But
I mean, I don't.
I would, me personally, I would stay with what has served us, but
Mhm.
I also have another question too. On number 2, isn't the time frame of calling it a tax lien, isn't that over soon?
June.
June, okay.
Yep.
And then you don't,
Right. I think Catherine's comments about waiting to entertain somebody to look at the properties from a real estate perspective would probably be beneficial to the town. Just to say, yes, you know what, even though your building inspector might not agree this is a buildable lot, we think it is. You know, I'm sure Chuck's didn't traipse through the snow, but has done the research on what he could find on the property. So,
right.
so
I would say wait a couple months, and I would also, my opinion is to wait at least until June, until number 2 comes off, and then they all can be sold at market value.
Yep.
That's my opinion. And also use the realtor that we've had for years.
Mr. Greg?
Hmm. Yeah, Greg.
who is it? I'm sorry.
Greg.
Greg. Oh yeah. Excellent. Excellent idea.
I mean, we can
What do you
get him,
think?
we can get him on board, and then
Yeah.
he can
Yeah.
look at them when he
Yep.
knows it's a good idea.
What do you think, board?
I'm good with that. I think we should wait.
Okay.
Is
It's
the
only
board
a couple
okay
of
with-
Wait
months.
and have Greg look at it.
Yeah, it's only a couple months before the number 2 comes on, and we get full market value for it instead of only doing administrative and
Yeah.
what the value is.
Is the board okay with me reaching out to Greg?
Yeah. I want to sell them. You know, I want to sell
Yeah.
I
them.
know, but are you okay with Greg?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's
Okay.
silly
Do we
to go
want
and
Scott
get
to reach
somebody
out to
that
him
we
now?
don't know or
What's that?
doesn't know
Do we want
us.
Scott to reach out to him now?
Yeah, we'll
Like we
reach
did
out
there,
to him
yeah.
now, but I think we'll all want to wait until,
Well, he'll know the best time to look at them.
yep.
Sure. Yep.
With his experience.
Yep.
But we also want to wait for number 2 to come on board.
Well, to sell it.
Right.
To sell
the-
it.
till
maybe,
the-
yes.
He can look
Tax
at
But
it
we
lien.
still got a ways between now and then.
quick.
Caleb Hill Road. Where are we with Caleb Hill Road?
Ah, great question. I need the board to look at the McFarland Johnson report in your review section of your binders. The process to end one phase and begin hopefully a new phase. Tim and I discussed. The board, I made it clear to Kevin Russell from the state that the board was not prepared to accept Caleb Hill Road as a town road. But in order for the engineers to get reimbursed, the state to get reimbursed from the federal government on the grant, and the engineers to get reimbursed from the state, I've got to, or the board has to accept the McFarland Johnson engineering report. Not accept that you want to accept the roadway, but vote to accept the engineering report only.
So just the fact that the study was done
Correct.
and it was
Don't it-
completed.
To agree
Yeah,
to it, right?
We
It's
don't
actually
agree to the report.
reimbursing, it's actually reimbursing the town because
Sorry, yes.
we've paid for the report. And
Like
to get
I'm being
reimbursed
set
by
up.
the state, it needs to be
But
accepted.
this sounds like the sewer deal on,
I think we need to pay attention to what Tim's saying.
Yeah.
no, I heard, I
I
saw
still
the
feel
note.
like I'm being set up.
No.
Okay.
You want us
You're-
to accept a report that we don't accept.
For the
Well,
purposes.
I guess the question is, Tim,
Yeah.
what is it that you don't accept in the report?
Their plan.
And what plan is that? All the
They want to that it's
Uh-huh.
not adequate drainage. They're not. Yeah. I mean,
Ditching, culverts.
yeah. I mean, I could go on. for-
It's just like his statements earlier, the DOT, about, oh yeah, we went out and looked at it and didn't see any issues.
Well, I,
The wall up here, that what they say and what we see are sometimes two different things,
Mhm.
truly. And the DOT and their report didn't. I don't think if we accept that and move forward on it, it's going to cost the taxpayers considerable amounts later on because we accepted that road in a less than good
But-
situation.
may I just say that if you look at it this way, you're accepting the fact that they did the engineering study, but by the sheer fact that you have declined to take the road because you feel as though it's inadequate for whatever reason is sufficient. It's just really it's a housekeeping issue so
Correct.
that
I'm
it
good
can
with that.
someone can recognize that the work was completed
Mhm.
so that the town can be reimbursed by the state and the state can be reimbursed by the federal government.
Correct.
You need a motion for that.
We do. We do. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the fact that the engineer has submitted a completed report.
Second.
Thank you. Maybe I didn't explain that well enough, but
A motion has been,
We're good. We've
Yeah.
moved on.
a motion has been made and seconded.
I have just a little discussion.
Discussion.
So, is New Hampshire DOT aware of why we're not taking the road and why they're not happy with the engineering report?
correct.
They are
from
aware
me. Yeah.
that we didn't
I
feel it was-
used the board's words, Catherine, in my comments to Mr. Russell,
Okay.
who is the project engineer, and told him that we felt it was inadequate.
Okay.
It did not meet the standards that we felt were in the best interest of the citizens of the town of Tilton, drainage being one of them, sight distance being another.
Yep.
And I alluded to the discussion about speed on the road as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Which
Welcome.
those are all the major concerns.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm a no. Thank you.
I just want to know if the board wants Helen and I to do the plantings again this year.
Absolutely.
And
I'm a yes.
I was going to say, I take no offense if there's somebody else. Okay.
As long as you're able to do it. Absolutely.
Yes, we are going to try to get other people involved. The problem is we go down there so early in the morning because there's less traffic.
Mm-hmm.
We have gone down there mid-morning and it's a little precarious,
To say the least.
a little interesting. I often wonder if I'm going to come away with a foot.
You need a traffic vest. It's cone set up.
If it's not a weekday,
I got lights.
I will come now.
Oh,
I
that's
don't-
wonderful.
As soon as the sun comes up,
That'll be great. Yeah, we usually do it on a Saturday
come down
morning
and
or
help.
Sunday morning.
we borrow chicken to keep like.
I'll let you all know.
Yeah.
But yes, we were donated cones And the fire district gave us safety vests.
Nice.
Because we were out there, but the police department gave us cones and scolded
Catherine,
us.
I will be more than happy to donate to the flowers, but I am not getting up that early in the morning. Sorry.
Just stay up.
Nope. Not happening.
So going along with that, last year we discussed because of some of the bricks, but we couldn't do it because we had already planted the gardens. Do we want to address the bricks this year or
I was going to do a little patchwork on the bricks myself. They're not, I mean, there's one
put 'em back.
section where it looks like a plow blade.
or somebody swung wide coming out of Bridge
But
Street?
they,
Yeah.
it could be mended.
Didn't Ronnie
help you
Dunlop
too.
offer to do it?
I don't know. I know that they were
He
going
did, didn't
to
he?
years ago,
Yeah.
probably 5 years ago, and I didn't do anything. And then last year I said to Helen, I said, we got to do something about this. So we were just gonna,
So
there's a lot of
let's get in touch with
brick glues.
Dunlop.
a lot of stuff you can use to
He
fix.
may be able to do it before you do the plantings.
Okay.
You can use some cement on it.
Madam Chair, I need to contact Ron Dunlop for the building anyway, so I would offer to talk to him about that as well. Was that a donated repair?
He
On
was right. He was going to donate that repair along with the island fireplace, and he did the fireplace no problem. But he couldn't do the trough because there was already plantings and things like that in it, so it was not conducive to doing what he needed to do.
Okay, I'll reach out to him.
Necessary can come down and dig out the area behind it or something
Okay.
beforehand. I'm sure some of us.
Yeah.
I don't know what needs to be
I'll
done.
volunteer
So,
Eric.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll come down and dig it out.
I'll volunteer Shane.
I'll buy bricks.
John,
There we go.
John and Eric volunteered to do the digging that needs to be done.
All right.
But just see if they can do it before they do the plantings.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and the last thing, and we may want to postpone this discussion, but tax card. Now, I recently had some issues with properties that I own in my tax cards. I want to say thank you again to Scott for getting it fixed.
Oh,
But,
Scott, getting it fixed?
well,
Thank you.
he was my conduit, and then
To
he
get it.
delegated. But I didn't, so this is the reason
Oh.
for bringing it up. I didn't know if this was a land use issue or if this
Yes.
is something we paid Avatar to do.
Yeah.
But,
His face is getting red over there.
Yeah.
Can't believe you took credit for that.
No, I didn't take
no,
credit for it.
he was my conduit.
To get to it.
To
And
get
I
it
got
done.
Lauren to fix it
He was my conduit.
while you were out ill.
Oh, no.
And
It
then
was
Cindy.
already in the making for
okay.
it to, trust me, I was on the phone with her in an email and everything else long before that.
Okay.
So my reason for bringing it up is, number one, everybody out there, take a good look at your tax cards. I had one property that was zoned incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a big deal.
Yep.
I was told by our assessor that's not their issue, not their problem. I have properties that show that they have sewer, that do not, and various other things. Now, all of these things add value to your properties. But through error, not my own, and of course, my error is I didn't look at them closer. My properties have
Something like
basically have been
It is?
assessed based
Not a
on
big deal.
poor information.
I'll take care of it, John.
So I guess my real question is, who is responsible for the information on the tax cards? I looked at our agreement with Avatar, and it would seem to me, if they're adding information to them, that they're somewhat responsible.
Well, yeah, to make sure it's accurate.
Oh,
I mean, this one property I have is in Well, it's in the regional, no, this one's wrong still. Resort commercial.
Commercial,
It's
right.
been updated though on the website. So if you printed that off before yesterday, it was updated yesterday. So
All the properties around it are resort commercial. It should have stuck out like a sore thumb. You wouldn't have a regional commercial, which is what this has been labeled for I don't know how many years, in the middle of resort commercial zone. You know what I mean? You just wouldn't.
We don't have regional commercial, do we?
Yep.
Yeah, we do.
I,
Go ahead, John.
all
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Takes me a minute to finish my
I
thought.
just had an answer on that.
We need to. This shouldn't happen. So it makes me suspicious of our tax cards.
I think.
Yeah.
One thing, I know that when we get our tax bill and when they do the reassessment, they ask everyone to look at them, make sure they're right. So
Correct.
it's also on the landowner. So this is just one of those things that you got to look at it.
Oh, that's why I said it's on
That
me for
everybody
not looking
should
at
look
it.
at it and bring up anything that they see that they suspect or has been changed or is wrong. Those
Right.
things happen.
Yeah.
For instance, I had Steve O'Leary come in to my office, and his tax card has a telephone pole on it, and he realized that when the reassessment was done, has a telephone pole on it, but it's not on his property. It's further up. So I have that note on my desk to fix it. But small things like that. But obviously, Steve was paying attention to his tax card, and I got to tell you, I can't tell you the last time I looked at mine personally. So, but I will now.
Okay, Chuck, do you have a question
Important.
online?
Yeah, I did on the properties that the town are going to be having for sale. I
Oh,
knew
okay.
at one point
Go
that
ahead.
I knew at one point that Jerry Shaley had donated some property to the town. I just wanted to make sure that the only properties that are currently being listed for sale are those that, in fact, where there were tax liens and not properties that were donated to the town.
That property's on the list. That's Wolf Road.
Wolf Road is on the list. Catherine is informing me. I do know Wolf Road is on the list. I was just informed that that is in fact the property that Jerry Shaley had donated to the town.
Well, it would seem to me that anyone who donated properties to the town shouldn't then turn around and sell it for a profit. And in fact, the purpose that he had given that was to try to give access to Silver Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chuck. I wasn't aware that Jerry donated that.
It had something to do with right of ways.
I have no idea.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
2007.
Yeah, it didn't have something to do with right of ways.
It was 07.
It was still a very nice thing that he did, but it had to do with right of ways, I believe.
The Warren article.
I agree with Chuck. We shouldn't be selling a property that somebody donated to the town for a purpose.
Well, it's listed as unbuildable.
That's why.
And we haven't.
It's not unbuildable.
Well, it's listed on this.
That I think that's an error, but
It's unbuildable, but we
I
don't
still
remember
don't
we
think
haven't.
we should be selling it.
I appreciate Chuck saying that because I agree. But we have not made the decision of what properties to sell.
Hmm.
And I'm going to mark that as donated so I don't forget.
Got it. Thank you, Chuck. Okay, moving on. John, you're up.
Catherine did everything I was going to say. Thank you.
I'm flattered. Smart.
That's it? All right. I just have one thing. I remember a month or so ago, I brought up about tinting that second window in at the top. I was just wondering what the status was on that.
Yeah, the only company I've found so far is now out of business that does that, or that did this one in the past. I'm trying to find another individual that does the tinting. It was suggested that we do this, the shades.
No, they'll look like hell.
Okay, all right.
Well,
So,
I mean,
See
what
how
about
that
granite state
looks?
glass?
no, they'll replace the glass, but they won't tint them.
Cindy
Okay.
did her
I
own
don't believe
window.
they.
Who
did?
Cindy.
Shane can just get the tint and just cut it out and put it up.
Just want to
Yeah.
keep them all uniform. That
Okay.
Exactly.
Yep.
you know, if we're good, not just do one.
Just do them.
In June,
all-
it will be the
right.
next one.
We should
Yep.
do them
Yes,
all.
I agree with Catherine. We should do them all
You can't buy the
consistently.
tint
So,
to match.
But by the
ones
tint,
downstairs.
it's very easy to put
Yeah.
up. It's not hard to do. I think that's what we had suggested, that Shane do it, or
Yeah.
one of his members.
right.
It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll chat with them tomorrow.
okay.
Yep.
I mean, you spend money for a professional to do the tint. That's outrageous. All right. That's it for me. If we're all set for election, everybody sent in, if you can't be there, sent in to Helen. I know in the past, I was told today, in the past, that that office over there, so I don't have to switch hats, has put up a poster with zoning and made it larger print for people to read. And also, Kathy has expressed an interest of the definition of potable put on a poster board. And so I asked Helen today,
Did you pass that down?
and she said, yes, absolutely. The more information we can give to people, the better. So we're going to be working on that tomorrow, last minute, to do that.
I had that for the planning board, but I wasn't able to make that meeting.
Is that something we can use tomorrow? Okay.
One more question about town meeting. Somebody's going to be doing, sometimes they coffee or snacks.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Are we doing coffee or snacks or anything like that?
For that Saturday
Yeah.
portion?
Yeah, usually there's somebody.
Yeah, there's
or
somebody that usually
that
does it.
something in the.
Oh, that's right. In the
Back.
back, there's coffee and there's beverage and pastry things.
So does somebody want? I don't know if any reach out to any
A group
groups that
or
wanted
something,
to do
yeah.
it. The Girl Scouts or.
The cookie contest?
Who's done it in the past?
I
Well,
think
Judy Tilton did it for
did it
a
for a
while,
while.
and then
Judy Tilton.
Judy Tilton did it for a while. She might want to do it this year. Well, she can't because she's doing the
She's supervisor of
supervisor of the
checklist.
checklist.
Senior Center. do
Anybody
a
from the senior
fundraiser,
center?
or- I know it's short.
That's a be a good money maker for them.
Too short of notice.
I mean, any of the school groups, FFA or any of them, or even whoever at Charter now has, Charter Academies. If there's somebody there that wants to do it,
Oh, we could
Don't have
see
much
if we can
time.
find. Otherwise, we just get
a local
coffee
mer-
and
a local merchant.
A TDA? Tilton Detectives Association?
See what?
They're new. Just tell them it's part came with the job. We forgot to tell them.
Well, we shouldn't forget the Tilton Prep School either. There
Prep school?
could be groups up there that want to fundraise.
Yeah, maybe the
Prep school?
Tilton, maybe somebody up there would like to do that, or maybe they would like to do that. Some organization like the ski club or something
Yeah.
would like to do that to raise
They
money
just
for their
started the
group.
track. They just started the track team back up. Last year was the first year they did it in a while, so I can reach out to the track coach.
Maybe they'd like to do that for
So let me know,
coffee
Eric.
and pastries.
If you do something,
For
Eric, let me
profit.
know, and
Yep.
if not, then I'll find either see if a local merchant wants to do it, or if the board will authorize me to buy a bunch of coffee and donuts, we can do that.
If
too.
not, we need you to buy coffee and pastries.
Does Napoli, would they donate
Who?
one of those box Napoli?
Hmm.
McDonald's?
Napoli's.
They donated for things. McDonald's, yeah.
You think they would?
I don't know what they.
Coffee and pastry or
300
whatever.
people. Mhm.
300 breakfast sandwiches.
Kirby 300?
Just go through the drive-through. They'll be fine with that.
I've never had 300 people.
And 50, and I was just going to say, and 50 people show up.
110. I'd say 110 would be.
Early bird special. First 50 people.
We take them out at the end of the meeting. There you go.
I'll check. The
Okay.
issue is they start school vacation Saturday.
This
Which
Saturday?
means all the kids leave this weekend.
Oh,
So I just thought
Oh,
of that.
yeah. I don't think that would work
So
out.
I don't think that they would do that. What about the PTO for the high school?
Any of them?
I don't have a contact over there, but I don't know who it is that is there now.
Let me ask Amy. Maybe Amy knows somebody. Amy worked there for a long time, so she might know a group.
I
You know,
mean,
even if they came and sold it, you
If
know.
it's somebody that, but,
For
you
a
know, give them a
fundraiser.
number and
Yeah.
just say coffee and pastries, of
Yeah.
course, you know, with cream and sugar or
right,
whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Okay.
That's a good question. We didn't go there and nobody has any coffee. Nobody would be able to think. And then everything would pass. That would be ideal now, wouldn't it? Okay. No other questions? Nobody else? Okay, that's all I have for me. So let's go on to the town administrator report.
Okay, I'm going to try to be brief because a couple of things I already talked about. I do need signatures on a highway safety grant. Madam Chair, if the board would vote to authorize you as the sole signer, that would make it a lot less painful on everybody. And it is the highway safety grant that was requested. So
what
I
highway
have it here.
safety grant?
This one is,
Is that the J1?
yeah, yes.
So it's 100% funding for 5 mobile data terminals.
Mobile data terminals, right.
And it's replacing the ones we currently have that were originally put into service in 2017. And they, as of October of this year, they'll be no longer suitable for use because they're not upgradable to the current system that is required for law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I like 100%.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Let me
Madam
ask.
Chair,
So you need a motion to let the chair sign all 100 pages of the grant.
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, and I'll second it.
102.
100 pages.
We get 2 copies.
And we need it videotaped that she signs all 100 pages.
But a motion also should include approving it.
Yes.
Yes.
Not just the designation of who's
I'll make a
signing it.
motion for the chair to sign the highway safety grant that came in, the J1 highway safety grant, and to approve it.
And for the selectmen to approve the grant.
For the selectmen to approve the grant.
I'll second that.
It seems convoluted somehow.
It's a lot. That's a.
We agree. And you say-
Motion's been made and seconded.
I would
seconded.
say a motion to approve the submission of the grant and to subrogate our authority to allow the chairman to sign in lieu of the
There you
selectman.
go.
They done.
There you
After
go.
12 years.
That was
I've
very
learned
good.
Very good,
something
Joe.
here. I can sling
You
it.
gonna let him do that? Someone second it?
And I'll re-second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded.
Perfect.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, and while you're in the giving mood at 100%, I have a grant opportunity. First, let me preemphasize that statement by saying we submitted the Winnipesaukee Regional Trail Association grant yesterday. We had a presentation. I want the board to know that Ken Norton did a fantastic job. Glenn Trefferin from Lakes Region Planning Commission was also very helpful with us working on that grant. We are one of 5. The city of Laconia, town of Meredith, town of Ossipee, town of Andover, and one more. But anyway, it's one grant, 5 presenters, so it's a pretty stiff competition. This grant, by the way, I want to say Ken did a fabulous job, and we were given some information by Glenn Trefferin from Lakes Region Planning Commission that he found at the US DOT site, United States Department of Transportation, which is 100% grant opportunity. It has a soon shelf life, and it is also the first person at the trough gets to drink the most water, if you're following me. So I was going to wait till after town meeting and work on this grant myself. Ken Norton has agreed to work on the grant with me. If the board would allow us to submit for this grant, the difference between this grant and the LRPC grant currently that we presented yesterday is that this grant specifically gives you, 1, it's more money, and 2, it's specific to planning and engineering. So this would be extremely helpful to us, not only in our current situation, which we could turn the other grant to a shovel-ready grant, but in any further that we want to do over and above what you've already authorized. So I did tell Ken that we had a crazy meeting tonight and he wanted to be here, but he had a previous engagement that I would ask the board if you will, in fact, approve submitting this grant. I will work with Ken in the same fashion that you allowed me in the past. I have 5 copies. I'll walk up and give you each one. I didn't give you the whole grant. I just gave you the criteria, the award amounts, the minimum award, maximum award. It's $27 million. So not that we can get, but it's overall.
What was the name of the grant again?
It's the Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program, U.S. Department of Transportation.
Okay.
So let me give you each a copy of this, and I'm sure in your light reading you can
So we have to, after town meeting, that will,
We would
You
actually
look- we
submit
look
it
for now.
before then.
Oh,
If
okay.
you approve it tonight, we'll submit it. It's no cost.
There's
to
no
the
fee for
town.
applying.
No, there's no fees at all. It's,
I make a
100%.
motion that we allow Town Administrator in Ken Norton to apply for the Rural and Tribal Assistant Pilot Program grant.
I'll second it.
Motion in a second.
so is this?
Discussion.
Excuse me, yeah.
Go ahead.
So are we the recipients of it, or is WRTA the recipients of it?
WRTA,
WRTA.
yeah, would be the recipient.
So, but are we applying for it, or are they applying for it?
We would be the same capacity as,
Agents?
yeah, the agent.
The agents.
To
yeah,
accept, yeah,
for them.
yeah. Same capacity.
I'm good.
Yep. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. I wanted just to remind the board that we do have a planning board candidate who we've had in the pipeline, Robert Jean, very nice guy, very patient man, who I will have on the 20th. We've had him canceled 3 times because of weather. And we do have a lady who came in interested in the vacant budget committee position. We have her filling out the form, and I will have them both here on the 20th to meet with the board,
Mhm.
if that's acceptable.
Whatever happened to
I
the other
just
one?
talk, just say something about that? On the Lakes, Bureau of Economic, what is the site, BEA, what does it stand for?
Bureau of Economic Affairs.
Affairs. They have updated laws now for planning and zoning, and so when that got sent out to me today, I noticed on the very bottom of the page, they have a planning board test
Oh, yeah.
and a zoning board test, and you can have it with a certificate or without a certificate. With a certificate, you have to give your name and email address, obviously. Without a certificate, it's no name, no email. I just wanted to put that out there so that you know that at some point in time, when we pass out that booklet that we pass out, if we wanted to say, hey, on such and such site, if you just wanted to test your knowledge, here you go. This is how you can test your knowledge. Nobody has to know. I mean, we don't, it's just there. You test your knowledge. And
Great idea.
me, the newbie, tested her knowledge today on planning. So you pass with a 65. I got a 73. But
It's
not.
It is very helpful, and the NHMA, New Hampshire Municipal Association. When I first came to work for the board, I gave you the knowing your territory packets.
Mhm.
Those get updated very regularly. So I've asked Amy to watch out for any additional packets that we might get for our new folks that come on, or our folks who have been sitting there for a while that didn't understand.
I read them all the time.
Yeah,
So
so.
even the new ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I want to clear up a misconception, if I might. I didn't realize this until last week, and I won't point you out, but 2 members of the board asked about approving payroll. And I didn't realize it, but you folks don't see the cover sheet. I thought you did. So there is, just so the board understands, there is an approval process. I approve all of the payroll. It gets a double view by Tim and an overview by Amy. But there is and I apologize, I thought you guys got that sheet when you saw payroll, but there is a top sheet that authorized me. And we do have those going back, I think it was you, John, who said to me many years. So,
Yeah.
so just so that clear up the misconception. So, we do have legal counsel. I know we're going to go into a non-public, and I'll discuss that.
No, you could talk about it.
Okay.
Have to be in non-public.
Okay. We do have legal counsel. I've got a confirmed response today from Byron at Ramsmeyer and Spellman. I'm gonna Byron Bedard at Ramsmeyer Spellman. He is the municipal attorney. So
BB.
Yeah. And he was either today and or tomorrow submitting on the town and our ZBA members' behalf a notice of representation. So to the court, just so the boards, I know that we've all been a little antsy about getting somebody assigned. So
Have the two board members
been notified.
Yep,
Yet? Did it today, Joe. Yep. Yep.
Are they comfortable with that?
Yes. Yep. And I believe that's, other than signatures, I do have to get the signatures. Again, I gave you the granted tax abatements that were granted by our assessor to sign off for the board members. The correspondence, I tried to do it so that you folks don't have to read through 61 abatements, but there is corresponding evidence or corresponding remarks in that stack if you so desire to see it. It was my thought process that I'm going to try to, if they're already granted and or they've been assigned to be reviewed by Human Services, I was just going to have you sign off on those that in fact were already granted. So, but if you'd like to review further, that's up there.
Let me run a scenario by you. We have an abatement, let's hypothetical, an abatement that's been denied by our assessor. And we send that we send that off to Human Services to be looked at. And Human Services comes back and says, oh, there's no way that this person can pay. What happens to that abatement after that? I mean, the abatement's already been denied.
It's only been denied by the assessor, not by the Board of Selectmen.
So my question to you is, I didn't think that we can overturn an abatement.
Of course we
Yeah.
can.
Absolutely.
We're the ones who have to sign it or not. They make their recommendations.
The board-
Granted, denied.
The Board of Selectmen are the assessors, but the law, thank God, allows us to hire someone
Right.
to do the job for us. I
Okay.
don't know anything about assessing. So yes, the ultimate yes or no lies with the Board of Selectmen.
And then we send it back and make sure that the calculations are correct?
Well, for whatever reason, we might disagree with our assessor. We should write them down and send it back and say, we don't agree with your decision. This is how we feel.
Okay.
These are the points
Got
that are
it.
brought to our attention, blah, blah, blah.
Got it. All right.
and then perhaps have that conversation. I mean, I know this is coming from me and it's going to sound strange. We shouldn't just disagree with our assessor.
Correct.
There should be a communication.
Correct.
We should do that. That is respectful. Have the communication as to why we would
Agree.
disagree.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can't believe I said that.
I
Wow.
like that you
I
said
know.
that.
Catherine, you are a speaker of the truth.
And having that thought in mind, in my report, which I know you all read, in my report, I've asked that we're going to try to do it so that it's not overwhelming to you, but maybe it would be a good idea to set aside a specific work session, and in addition to a meeting, like maybe we're meeting on the 20th of this month again, maybe on the 27th, we could have a special selectmen's meeting and just go over abatements.
I think that's a great idea. and you'll have
You
a
won't
new-
be here.
Well, that's true, but because I won't be here, you'll have a new guy.
Yeah.
And that new guy probably has no experience with abatements or the process.
And it
So
might be a good,
having a workshop where there's discussion and criteria and the assessor and the history of it that he doesn't know.
And baptism by fire.
By propane torch.
Good idea.
Yeah.
all right. I
I
will put-
agree. I think,
idea.
does everybody agree the 27th?
Yes.
Only, let me speak this again. Only,
Don't look at me.
only abatements.
Just put that as the only thing on the agenda.
That's what I'm trying to say, only.
You set the agenda.
There
or
are
you
two-
may not. at that
Well,
point.
well, some people like to add downstairs.
Madam Chair,
Last
we
minute.
listen. We're
Oh,
listening.
no.
Chairman sets the agenda. Come on.
I will not be here, but I could attend. I should be able to by phone.
By phone? Okay. That's good.
Thank you, and that concludes my remarks, Madam Chair.
All right. Well, the next one, you have to go right into remarks anyway. The statue.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I had to dig through my pile to find which page I was on now. A little bit presumptuous on your town administrator's part, maybe. I was under the impression, and it was clarified that Catherine was not here, but we had discussed moving Mabel to the Historical Society. The discussion was clear that the select board did not want to give up Mabel, and that it would be on a permanent loan, or when the board decided they wanted it back. So I want to, and at the same time, we gave the 150th anniversary coolers and cups to the Historical Society for a fundraiser for them, which you authorized.
Right.
But I want to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music.
We wanted Catherine to be here.
Correct, Catherine to be
Right.
here, and
Not dancing to the same tune.
okay, you're not.
I think it should stay in town hall. I think it's in a place where people come in and out. People love to see it. Yes, they can visit it up where the Historical Society is on the Tilton School campus, but it's in our town hall, and I think that's where it should be.
I guess this has been, before my arrival, a discussion and approval, and then further discussion and non-approval. So I feel bad because I have a habit, as the chair says, of taking the ball and running, because I like to get stuff done. But I reached out to John Cirillo and did tell him that, and I told him, I said, under the conditions of the board and the fact that I got an education about two members of the board who contributed a major amount of work to that statue, the chair and Selectman Scanlon, and that Selectman Scanlon understood the movement of how to properly move that. So I did basically tell him that the board was okay with it. So I guess I'll look for direction. Do you want to keep it in the town hall? We just felt that we could use this space in the town hall entryway, number one. And number two, that it would get its due diligence at the Historical Society. But that's my point.
Joe, go
In
ahead.
the interest of brevity and moving this along, I'll make a motion to move Mabel. Mabel?
Maybe.
No,
It's not really Mabel. I think it's Diana.
it's out here.
Diana, the statue which is currently headless and in the ground floor of the town hall down here, to the Historical Society for viewing, with the understanding that the town does not give up any kind of ownership rights, and it would be returned on demand.
Mm,
If you want to word it different, stick
No,
some other
go
words
ahead.
in there.
I need a second for discussion.
Second.
I think John has a different view on the having it up there in the province. I mean, it would be ours, but it wouldn't be if we want it back on demand.
What if we wanted to recast it? What if we wanted to take that and put the heads and arms back on it and put it back on its pedestal?
Right.
There are methods for doing that.
Oh, there absolutely
that very
are.
thing, if
Right.
we were so inclined. Now, John,
I agree with you.
The Historical Society, under those circumstances, would have to understand we're not giving away the statue.
And I believe that they are well aware of that. Do you have you don't have the paperwork that,
Permanent loan is not language
It's not
we
a-
should have in that.
No, nothing is
yeah.
permanent.
All right.
So we have other stuff that's on loan to them with an agreement
Right.
that's written.
Right,
And I don't
exactly.
think there's a rush because I don't feel like carrying it up in the ice and cold.
Yeah.
So maybe we can table it until we get an agreement. We'll take a look at it and
Okay.
do it. But I'm good with it.
I don't think it should be
moving up there
moved
and
until. I don't think it should be moved until spring at least.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
Yeah, I don't think they
This
were
is
going to do it
just
right away.
This is a motion to start the process.
Yeah.
The actual timing of it and stuff to be worked out,
Yeah.
weather-wise and public works-wise, and
I agree with that. I mean, I would be more nervous that someone would trip and fall into it where it's sitting
under it.
or under it. I mean,
Yeah.
then it's getting exposed. I mean, not much, but exposed every time you open the door and close it. And so I think it would be better
that's
served
an issue.
with
But I
other
think more
historical
people
items.
would see it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
let's table it and get the agreement and
Okay.
work that out. I agree with John.
I agree to that.
Everybody agree to table it?
Yeah.
All right, withdraw your motion.
I do.
I think we all know, just one thing that we all know, basically we're all stand that, yeah, we would allow them in
Right.
some way to
We all agree
display
that,
it,
right.
but we want to maintain ownership.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
No,
Stay here.
she wants it
Oh, you want to stay
downstairs
here.
in the.
And like you said, John, there's language already, right? Because we have other things that are
Right.
up there.
Yes.
I didn't,
So the only other thing is, if it was to here, I believe it's to recover that space. So at that time, if you had a better space to put it, or did you want it there still?
I don't know.
You figure.
Let's get the agreement.
So we'll
See
think
what
about
says.
Tabled it. Let's
We'll
move on.
Yeah.
Think
move
about
on.
it and then
all
go
right.
back. Just want to make sure it comes up. where-
So we table that to another time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I give you this? Do you want to start signing this or do you
Oh,
want to
yeah,
wait till
let's
tomorrow?
see if I can try to do that. And then while Tim gives his report.
Can we talk about the recording secretary move?
The what?
Recording secretary office move.
Where is that?
In Scott's
It's
report.
It's
Scott's
Scott's
report.
report towards the bottom,
Second to
second
the-
paragraph
second to the
up.
bottom.
My report, yeah.
Bottom.
Nothing. It says, when this is done, we shall move them up to the stage. We should not be putting anything more on the stage. It has become a dumping ground. I mean, discarded boxes, the stuff up there that it was kind of just disappointing.
Yeah.
A few months ago when I was still health officer and I walked up there and I'm like, what the heck?
We used to just store stuff up there, old town reports and stuff like that. The difference now is we've got this wall to hide the junk, so it collects even faster because hey,
Yes.
out of sight, out of mind.
I mean,
True.
it is a usable space. I don't know for what, especially to the right, that storage area. That is a mess.
Yeah.
There are things in there that probably the Historical Society would be the correct place to put them so they can go through and determine what's worth saving. Of course, they're
No,
wonderful. They think everything is.
No.
But because a lot of it came from the Grange.
Yeah, but it belongs to the town, and to let somebody outside of the town
Well,
decide what's worth saving,
well, maybe I didn't say it correctly.
that makes me nervous.
But
right out of the
anyway,
gate.
that should be cleaned out, cataloged, reboxed. It's a mess. There's broken glass in there. People have gone in there, knocked over pictures, and that's never cleaned out glass. I mean, I'm telling you, it is a mess up there. Nothing should be going up on the stage, especially discarded boxes. I mean, the problem is up there is we have a whole bank of file cabinets, and there's about 3 of them I don't think are really used, and they're all covering the heater.
Yes.
Now it's radiant heat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is an
Right.
oxymoron.
And Madam Chair, just so you know, I did contact a locksmith. I think I put that in my report. Those current cabinets, even though the locks are broke on 2, they are taped sealed. So it would not hurt to leave those cabinets right where they are. And I will have the locks, at Heather's request, the locks keyed alike for all 3 cabinets, 1 key. So they would be secured.
And where are we providing an office for the welfare director?
She was okay working up on the stage if she needs to. I told her that if she needs to, she
It
doesn't.
wouldn't be a safe place for her.
Well, it wouldn't be, but the chief has been more than gracious to let her meet there when they have concerns over volatility or whatever. So she has been meeting there. So there were a couple alternatives. In fact, I told her she could use, if she needed to meet privately with somebody that's in a wheelchair, for instance, she could meet in my office and,
But shouldn't we have
I
a
don't.
place for our welfare director? This is her office to meet. If you're scheduling appointments with people, you can't say, well, maybe we could meet here or maybe we could meet there. There has to be a designated place. The stage is not a safe place for anyone to meet with anybody.
as opposed to under the stairway downstairs.
Well, at least there are people around. No one knows what's going on up there. I mean, it's completely closed off. I mean, I've been up there working all day and nobody knew I was up there. I didn't know you were up there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And there's no exit.
99% of her work is done remotely since I've been here.
That's correct.
So,
yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk remotely. Initially, part-time person was remote. Now, this person is not remote unless there's other work for her to do. So on the days that there's other work for her to do, those days, that person can come in. So if in fact that person is only doing minutes, that person can be remote because that's the way she started out for 2 years or so, right?
Well,
I don't know what I don't know what the issue is. Tell me something that I don't know.
Well, I thought her working out of this office has been, when she comes in to do minutes, she's one of now 4 in there. So 5, excuse me. So
So why couldn't she do her minutes up on the stage? She's not seeing anybody.
She could do her minutes on the stage, but it's just, for us, downstairs was the best spot, the quietest spot.
My feeling is, I mean, and Heather may be being remote, but I think that's probably left over from COVID. But people were able to come into town hall, get an application, fill it out, and there was an appointment sheet there and make an appointment. I don't know if that's still happening,
No, it
but it
does not.
should.
Does not.
That should still be happening.
Does not. No.
My feeling is that there needs to be a home place for that person, whether it's at the PD, somewhere in this building, I don't know, but I believe that that person should have a home place, because people who need assistance need to know where to go.
It should.
And it's very difficult to reach Heather by phone. She's good about returning the calls, but it can be hours later. And somebody who's in a desperate situation and needs help, that's going to seem forever.
And that happens, Catherine. Now we get a hold of Heather, and she's been very good about responding.
She's very good.
Yeah.
But people feel much better about, I've made an appointment.
Right.
Blah blah blah. I've got the application. I know what I need to do. And they come back.
I have not, in 6 months that I've been your town administrator, I have not seen her use the office, other than at Christmas time. She put a couple of presents in there, and I spoke with her exclusively about this. She's apparently been discussed before, so I'm looking to somebody for history here. So
She's our welfare director, so we should be directing her. I don't think she should be working completely remotely. As I said, people who need help need to know where to go.
So that would require asking her to have office hours again, to be, which she did, in the past.
Well,
So
she can
when
check
she had
with-
the sign up sheet and she
Right.
was here between this hour and that hour on certain days,
Right.
that hasn't been in place for some time.
She designated, when she was available on her sign-up sheet. You have these choices of appointments, but like I said, it does not matter to me which town building she's in, as long as there's a place for somebody who needs help to go.
But why is the focus so much on the other, finding a place for the other person than it is on?
I don't know. I assumed you'd had this conversation when I was
Well,
not
I
able
have
to be
not
here.
had this conversation, so.
Oh.
Mm-mm. Not my purview to have that conversation. Well, it is.
Well, it sounds like we actually have
Behind this
two
desk it
issues.
is, but not.
I think the part-time secretary could be up there. And I do think we need to go back to being more available to people who need help.
I didn't know that she discontinued office hours.
Neither did I.
That makes
I think
me
that must
even
have been a
more
COVID thing.
suspicious. I've never known what that
Well,
position does.
Hold on a minute. She didn't entirely not entirely discontinue office hours. If you remember, she was at Archways for quite a while, and she had office hours at Archways. There were some changes in staff. No longer is at Archways. So a lot of the conversations with the clients are by phone now, because a lot of the clients are homeless or whatever. So there's a change in the demographics, if you would, of the makeup of what the job description is. So is it really necessary to have set office hours or office hours?
Other communities don't do it either.
No.
And maybe that's a conversation we need to have with Heather.
Right.
Yeah, I think it. So I think about like Laconia. They have a full-time person. So that person's there in the office 40 hours a week. When you have a part-time position, I do think office hours are good. I do think that there should be a place for that individual to be there. I can see why she would do work remotely on a lot of occasions, because most of what she can do is by phone. But then there's the opportunity of the documents and stuff that will need to be transferred and whatnot. And I don't know the history like you guys all do, but as the newer one, I think if there was an opportunity for her to be here, set hours that we displayed on our website in person,
Whether it's just on Wednesday morning, or
right?
Thursday, whatever.
Even if it's like 4 hours a week.
There needs to be a time where people know.
And I only say that because you may have walk-ins, but I think even just having the ability for her to have a space to work here.
Well, the walk-ins are covered by an assistant.
I was going to say, does
Right.
Who's the
Ms.
assistant?
Despens give them applications for people who walk in?
Right.
Okay.
So it's not like they're nobody, and
We should probably continue this conversation with Heather.
Correct.
yeah.
I had a couple questions. Just I want to know what specifically what the procedure is now, and also where are these files kept, and are they being kept securely? Because those actually belong to the town, and not
Downstairs in the room right now.
Well, if she hasn't been here in 6 months, are they in the room?
I
or are
think
they
that that's
in a
really
car? I just
that's not
I've
an
seen
absolute.
her within this building in the
That's-
last 6 months.
Thank you very much, Joe.
I
That
have
is.
seen her. I don't know what she was doing.
I have seen her within the last month in this this office.
I think
But that's a question I have: is where are the files being kept?
They what?
Let's
I think
wait
we're
for Heather.
approaching non-public.
And let's wait for Heather.
Heather is an employee.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with Catherine.
Totally agree with you. Thank you for reminding me, Catherine, because this really gets me terribly upset. Okay, let's move on.
Yep. I'm all set, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Tim.
Okay, great. If you turn in your binders to my report, I've only got a few things for you. First of all, in my report, I noted that, and you may have seen it in the email that I sent earlier this week, the guide for town meeting. If there are any changes or updates that you want to make to that, but it goes through the different warrant articles, which shows which selectman is making the motion, and then has some notes about each warrant article. Specifically, when you get to the capital reserves, it has the potential uses, it has the current balances, and that sort of thing. The one thing, as you're contracting with Ransmeyer and Spellman for this this legal issue that the town has, I really think that we're going to be hard pressed in our legal line to cover that for the year, at least in talking with Scott and reviewing what we think it's going to take. We really believe that we're going to have to add money to that line. So I can have an amendment for the board for that Saturday morning. If you want to make a motion to increase that line, I will have that ready for you. And you can see on my item number 1 where I've listed that out. Has everyone had a chance to look at the session guide? And if you have anything you'd like changed or anything noted or included, or if you think I've missed something, just let me know and I'll be sure to get it in there. I'm sure you've also seen we have the town reports in They're in-house, and we are putting them out front as they're needed. The town clerk, tax collector comes out and gets them and puts them out. Last year, they were available at the election, all of them, and they pretty much all went. And we ran into a problem. So this year, we're recommending sending some boxes, but not all of them, so that we still retain some for town meeting day, that Saturday, when people can come in and pick up a town report.
Tuesday is town meeting.
The continuation of, thank you. So, so in any case, there'll be reports available at both days. That's the idea.
So how are you suggesting that we hand them out on the election portion? That we hand them out if people ask for them?
Yes.
Okay.
And so in any event, and then for item number 2, the water district, I included behind the financial report and the guide, I included the indemnification agreement. It's redlined, and I provided that to the water district. It's not something I would expect that we would discuss now. Really, the next steps are to see, does the warrant article for Academy Street pass? If it does, then we'll move forward to the next step. But they're much more cooperative in seeing that we arrive at an agreement with that. I think that's going to be easier to fix now that we've cut out basically an entire page of the indemnification stuff. If you really look at how many paragraphs and what was taken out of that, it's remarkable. So it sounded as though that was going to be well received. They're sending it to their attorney. And then if the Academy Street project is approved, then after town meeting, Scott, the superintendent of the water district, myself, our public works director, and our engineer, as well as their engineer from Stantec, would sit down and meet and look at the additional costs required to cover the portion of the wall that they would like to see done. As there's been some discussion that they would be willing to pay for the materials for it. So their concern is primarily the drainage. So in any case, again, it's kind of a moot point until we see whether the warrant article passes, and then to move on to that next step. The last item there is regarding paving for 2025. And this is really something that Public Works Director should review with you, but I just wanted to suggest from my vantage point in terms of what our experience has been in the last year or two, that we really should look to sole source again for our paving, with the understanding that we have the ability to go out and reprice something if we think that it's out of line. But as we did years ago, Director Duval had arrived at a sole source with R&D paving for the town, and there were a number of projects that were done that year, and there's real economies of scale with working with the same vendor on certain things. So I think that's something that's really important. And if you look at the projects that they're going to be completing very soon, Morrison Avenue for the rework, and then Morrison and Grant for the wearing course. And then Director Dow is getting bids right now from them for the tree streets of Maple, Poplar, and High Street Extension, which would be done in 25. So in any case, that is really all I have on that. And I just wanted to clear up one thing in that when I was speaking earlier about office hours for that position. It was in relation to what Selectman Dawson was describing as the sign-up sheet on the door. And certainly didn't mean to insinuate that that those meetings weren't taking place. They just weren't taking place here like they used to way back when. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have anything to come before us in a public meeting?
Yes, Madam Chair, I don't have all the signatures needed on the abatement applications. I have,
We don't need that in public.
okay,
Just let them know. Who do you not have?
2.
Okay, we can do that in non-public.
Okay.
Just give it to whomever is needed.
Okay.
Anyone online that has a question for the selectmen? Okay, hearing none. I'd like to make a motion to go into non-public per RSA 91A:2C, reputation, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of this board unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of a fee, fine, or levy if based on inability to pay or poverty or the applicant. And I'm assuming the second non-public that we're hearing tonight is also in that realm as well.
Second, non-public? Oh, I'm sorry.
Or is that hiring of a person?
It would be hiring.
Okay, and that second one is hiring of a person. Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Dawson,
Adam.
yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Adams, yes.
Constantino, yes.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, who seconded that?
It was a tie between
Catherine and I.
Catherine and John.
Pick your pick.
One second.
Tell your
This
wife.
conference will now be recorded.
You did, okay.
All right,
Fondly.
I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of March 6, 2025, because the reasons justify the needs for the non-public still remain.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any more business to come before us? Joe,
I have one thing,
got it.
almost for the last time. Motion to
Almost.
adjourn.
Second,
Motion to adjourn.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh.